Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Last Dare here on Kobold Press's Twitch channel. We had a little hiatus last week because a few of us were at Gen Con, which is also why we're missing our buddy Gnome tonight. He fell victim to the con crud, so miss you, buddy. Hopefully see you back here next week. But yeah, tonight I'm very excited to get back to playing with everyone. It has been too long, and I'm going to start going around, and we'll have everyone do your introductions, who you are, who you're playing, and don't forget, if someone gives us a summary from what happened last time, you'll get 2 temporary HP to add to your character and use either when they get used up they're gone or they're gone by the end of this episode. So let's get started with Jim.
I was muted. There I am. No, I'm not. Hey, how's it going, everybody? I hope to everybody recovering from Gen Con, God bless you. And to get better, stay in bed, drink your water, all that kind of stuff. I'm doing good. Excited to be back and play in Margreave. I love the dark fairy tale nature of this place. I'm super stoked to be back. So yeah. I don't know where we're going, but it seems obvious.
Yeah, you never know. Never know where you go with that thing. Hey, Michael, how you doing?
Doing great. Wife is back from Seattle, so she's back with me for a year, so that's super great. Also, welcome back everyone from Gen Con. Yeah, I'm playing Travain, Human Fighter, and also for Twitter you can follow me at Michael Crits, but all that aside, I'm doing great, and I'm totally excited to explore more Margreave tonight, so yeah.
Wonderful. Let's jump down to Torn Pixie. How you doing, honey?
I'm doing great. I'm excited. I don't think I'll ever get enough of anything that's really Fae stuff, so this is really... I was excited, and I don't think it's ever going to end. You can find me on Twitter at TornPixieTwitch, and yeah, everyone that went to Gen Con, I gotta say, a little jealous. I'm glad everyone got home safe, and I hope everyone starts feeling better, those that are getting hit with the crud now. No fun.
Yeah, definitely not. Okay, now we're going to jump over to Kai.
Hey, I'm playing Zira, my halfling sword dancer, and I'm super excited to be back this week. I was so sad to not play last week and also not be at Gen Con, but I'm glad to be back.
Well, we're glad to have you back. Double FOMO won't be happening this week. And wrapping up, we have Jesse.
Hello. I am also super excited that we're back. I did not make it to Gen Con either, so I too share in the dreaded FOMO, but really glad that we get to play after that hiatus. I felt like a super long week, a very, very long weekend, so let's do some stuff.
All right, awesome. So who wants to take the plunge and try and give us a summary from last time and get your 2 HP?
I can do that.
All right, go for it. It's all yours.
Sweet. I took notes last session, so here we go. So a gentleman named Reruk basically gave the party a mission to meet him in the forest at some river docks to take off from there. Our directions were to go head east until we hit a river and then head north until we saw the docks. Before we took off, we went to the Head Brothers General Store, which was run by Monty and Manny. The party gathered some supplies that we needed before we headed off into the adventure given to us by Reruk. Along the way, before we took off the village, some of us were getting some sort of either messages or some sort of like auras about the forest, kind of like telling us certain things that kind of put us on edge before we entered the forest. We entered the forest. Upon going through, we ran into some wolves that were stalking us, I think, for a bit. And then the party tried to decide how to handle the wolves. Some of us thought that engaging with them combat-wise was the right choice. And some of us thought that maybe avoiding them or trying to circle around them was another good choice. We ended up kind of doing a little bit of both. And we got a little wolf friend for a bit. I backpacked the injured wolf, and then lo and behold, after a little while, we ran into Mama Rihanna, who was walking through the forest, and she escorted us back to her hut so that she can heal up the wolf and give us a little bit more hints about the forest and how it's going to interact with us as we carry on. Taking off from there, we headed east, hit the river, and then pushed on north as instructed. And we met up with Yuri and Rupert, who were at the docks, who were waiting for us. And they kind of gave us some food, gave us a little area to have a little nice respite before Reruk met with us at the camp. A couple of us were trying to find our peace, our center, before we continued on with Reruk to head on to the boat heading south down the river. And I think that's where we left off.
Yep, very good. Do you remember the time of day?
It was night because he also briefed us that we shouldn't use any lights during this journey. So it's going to be real
very
great.
Good. Yeah, very good. So yes, you've met up with Ryork and you are on this river barge heading down south. So you've all pretty much have probably been on this barge for about, say, a couple hours. And again, it's pretty much all lights off. They're trying to move it very quietly, very calmly through this river. And you'll notice that as the night gets deeper into its time, there's mist that's collecting on the sides of the riverbeds on either side, and it starts sort of pulling across the river itself. You hear the usual night sounds and everything like that. And, you know, the majority of you, what do you think you'd be doing in those couple of hours while you're sailing downstream on this river?
I feel like I would probably just be sitting there sharpening my swords and quietly contemplating. I don't think that I'd be interacting a lot.
Okay, so keeping to yourself, sharpening the blade, sounds good. Anyone else with what they might be doing during this 2-hour-ish downtime?
Yeah.
The
Go
gym.
ahead,
We gotta figure out
the exact same time.
We'll get there.
It's not delay. It's all right. So Slane has taken out a broadleaf, sort of leaf-shaped spearhead and begins affixing it to that broomstick that he bought with some cord. And he'll supposedly spend the 2 hours doing that and keeping watch on just the banks of the river. You know, where are they going? What does it look? You know, what does the place look like? Is there any? You know, can he tell if there's any difference between the vegetation here, where they were? Just little details like that. I am curious, while I have your attention, like, how does being in the Margreave interact with the natural explorability of Ranger? Is like, because he has some abilities as it relates to like just being in a forest. Does Margreave count as that, or is it too magical?
It's still a forest. It's still a forest. Right. So you would still have that going on for you.
All right, he
for
feels
sure.
Weird. Thinking about trusting darkness. That's what he's doing. Trusting in the darkness.
Okay. All right, and then Michael, since you were jumping into.
Yeah, I think what Gervain would have been doing is, or what he would have been doing in the meanwhile is kind of sticking an appendage or so, like his hand or foot, off into the river as we're floating by, if the river isn't moving too fast, and looking out and just trying to pay attention a little bit to the forest around him, but kind of just half focusing on that and half focusing of enjoying like the cool water running between his fingers and stuff like that.
Okay. And what about AOL or Maurice? Anything you'd be doing during this particular time?
Maurice would for sure be oiling himself up, especially his hand, probably like almost like obsessively trying to make sure that it gets cleaned away, restored back to at least as close to the original condition you can get it.
Okay. And AOL?
I believe AOL's probably just going to be meditating for a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's pretty much, you're trying to scan the shores. There is this thick mist that's gathering on either side. So much of what you're seeing is being obscured by the fact that it is dark. There's really not that much of moonshine going on at the moment. You do see the shadowy figures of Ryork at the top of the barge, and you see Rupert and Uri towards the back area, sort of pushing things along and getting things moving. You're mostly using the flow of the river current itself to get the barge continuing down the river itself. And as you're taking these things in, I'd like you all to please give me a dexterity check. Okay.
There, I think.
That's not looking too bad. We got some 15s, 19, 12. And then a 5. Okay, so pretty much for everyone except for Slain, you suddenly feel the barge sort of rock, and it's more than just it hit more than it's just that it got caught up in a current or maybe bumped into something. It actually gives a nice little tip to it, so you do have to catch yourselves, and the majority of you are able to do so. However, Slain, you're more engrossed with making sure that your spear is getting pulled together, and you actually sort of fall to the side slightly and catch yourself. Luckily, you're not completely prone, but you do find yourself sort of leaning on your arm and, trying to push yourself back up. And immediately, Rurik, he turns and looks back to everyone. Everyone okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's all right. It's okay. Does it look like anybody's worried, like we're about to get attacked or something?
They're more looking concerned towards each other just to see if you were okay than anything else. And you can see Rupert and Yuri sort of like shrug their shoulders at each other, like, yeah, whatever. Maybe it was just something they didn't see, because again, the waters are pitch black at this point. You're not seeing much in them. So they kind of keep pushing on. You see Rurik sort of look over you one more time, and he'll turn back looking towards the front. And once again, you're going to feel the barge shift. So please give me another dexterity save in this case.
I think Slane's going to be looking over the edge of the water. If there's a railing, he's holding on to it. But if it's not,
okay,
he's doing his best to brace. But he wants to see if he can find anything.
Okay, there's no railing. It's basically like a raft, almost like a glorified larger style of a raft type of thing. So there's no railings. There's sort of like this little makeshift hut at the very back of it where they keep some extra supplies.
Then he's
but
probably
it's
on
pretty
his
much
belly.
On your belly,
Can he get,
looking down.
Yeah, can you get like on his belly so that he's not standing while this thing's rocking around? He just wants to watch the water mostly.
Okay, well, give me your dex save and let's see what happens. Oh, yay! Look at that! Look at that! So you almost use the you almost use the shift of the barge rocking again to quickly belly up against it and peer into the water. In this case, give me a perception check. Kai, you this time, I think you've been more distracted by the fact that Zero was looking back at Rurik to see what was going on and got herself toppled slightly in process. So you're down on both of your knees. As for everyone else, you're still able to stay in whatever position you were previously, but you are now on the alert. And Slain, with that 19, you're looking into the water and you are seeing more like a wake moving around the barge, but you're not seeing anything specific in the water. But you see it sort of move back and around.
Is there like gar or maybe a river alligator or something we gotta be looking out for? Because it seems like something's swimming around in here.
And Rurik's going to turn his head, like snap it back towards you. What did you see in the water?
I just saw waves. It looked like something swimming around. Should I go down in there?
And as you two are talking about this, you are going to hear on the other side of the barge this breaking of water. And there's going to be this massive black form. You can't quite tell what it is because, again, there's no light. And it comes reaching out towards the barge, but it actually just narrowly misses it because Rupert pushes his oar quickly against it and almost seems to push the bar slightly away as this happens. What would you all like to do now that you've seen that something is breaking from the water and is attacking the barge?
I would like to stand up.
Okay.
And
So you can,
ready my sword.
okay, stand up, ready your sword.
I'm gonna get back to back with Zero. Like, I had my appendages in the water, like my hand in the water. I'm gonna take it out and start scooting back, like on all fours, and then I'm gonna get up and get back to back with Zero. What are we bracing for?
I have no idea. I have no idea what this is. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't see what it is breaking out of the water.
No, it's broken out and it's gone back down in after that second time it's rocked the barge. Ryork and the other two are definitely concerned now. The rest of you, are you readying any weapons or anything like that? Or
Maurice would try to get to the center of the barge, at least the best of his ability, and pull out his mace and shield.
okay. And then Aola?
AOL's gonna ready an Eldritch Blast.
Okay, awesome. And then we are going to have Shreg. He's basically going to tuck himself or themselves sort of back into that hut area as they're working with that little dodecahedron that they have on hand. So once again, you're hearing these waters swish and whirl around, and you can tell that there is something moving in the water. But with this mist and with the dark, it is very hard to tell. Give me another dex save. Okay, so anyone who got 12 or below, you are knocked down to a knee. For those of you who got above, you're able to hold your ground, but this time the boat has definitely taken a good rocking. You're actually going to see that Rupert has lost his footing and he falls over the side and into the waters as Riorik is trying desperately to grab towards him. Yuri is using the other oar and he's now lifted up and he's holding it aloft, ready to attack if anything should come towards it. So at this point, let's roll for initiative.
You said he fell off the boat and into the water?
He fell off the boat and he's in the water.
Okay. Is he like splashing and flailing, or is he doing okay?
You can take a look in the water and see. You can do a perception check,
That's fair.
please. All right, so we have... I'm just going to get it down. So we have Eowell, Slain, and then Gervain. And then we're going to have Zira and Maurice. You'll tie at the end. Let me just get our question mark in there as well. And we'll find out where our question mark's going. Okay, so the question mark is going to be going right between Gervain and Zira in this go around. So with the perception of 18, you will see this shadowy form getting pulled down the current of the river. Paddle is still in hand. You can tell they're using it as a means to sort of keep aloft as things are flowing. But between that, you're also going to see this sort of, again, this wake of waves of something moving around the barge, and it's actually starting to circle itself around. So we're going to start with AOL. It is your turn. You're starting us off. What would you like to do?
So AOL's gonna try and track this thing. I mean, you can kind of see it in water and hope that an Eldritch Blast is actually able to go through water, because this would be a new thing. So.
Okay. Let's see what happens with it. All right, so you go to try this Eldritch Blast, and again, you have that unique design where it's more of this darkish collection of black light, correct? Mm-hmm. And as it's starting to form and you send it out, it seems to almost just get absorbed by the mist itself, and it doesn't hit its mark true as you had hoped. Is there anything else you'd like to do with that?
I think that's it for this turn. Yeah.
Okay. That then brings us to Slaying. What would you like to do with this?
Well, so Slane's been knocked down to a knee. There's no obvious monster out. He can just kind of see something moving to the Rupert. How far away are we from the shore?
You're dead center of the river, so you probably have about 60 feet going on either side, actually. They're using the main stream of the river to pull the barge down. They're not keeping it towards the shallow end of the river.
Gotcha. And then do we know how deep the river is? Have they mentioned it offhand? Or okay.
Nope, you have no sense of depth or anything like that. You just know that the waters are dark and active.
Yeah. So if I'm going to jump in after him and see if I can not die. So he's going to take his dagger, and he's not going to take anything else because he doesn't want to have a bulky spear or anything. And takes his boots off and runs him to the water. I'm going to try to swim after Rupert.
Okay, so Rupert is the one who went into the water. So Rupert's being pulled down. He's probably a good 30 to 40 feet at this point. Do you have any swim aspects to you, or?
I'm strong.
Okay.
I hold my breath so that I'm not in case I go under. Listen,
Okay.
he picked flowers at his grandma's house instead of doing a lot of weight training, but he's a natural athlete. So yeah, holds his breath and tries.
Give me an athletics and see how you do jumping into the water here.
All right.
We'll go with that.
I'll
Okay.
take it.
So, yeah, you managed to get into the water. You're swimming. You have the current kind of pushing you along, but it also is dragging him along. So you are still a good distance between him. Let's say you probably are able to close it, so maybe you're about 25 feet apart at this point. Once you count in the fact you've jumped off, have to come back up, get your bearings, and start swimming after him. So that's Slane. Slane is boots off in the water. Gervain.
Yeah, I think Gervain's gonna see Sling jumping into the water, and I'm gonna go closer to the point where he jumped off.
Mhm.
And I think what I'm going to do is get my rope ready to throw at him once he gets to where he's going, and
Okay.
also have my spear out as well, just in case I have to flip it over so that he can hold on to the stick end and bring him in. So I'm just getting ready to either throw him in the rope or to retrieve him back in once he gets closer to the boat. So
Okay,
I'm
so
gonna
you're holding
take
action for
my-
rescue efforts.
yeah. So if I see him catching up with him, I'm just gonna throw my lassoed thing over to him, or rope over to him.
All right, sounds good. So we have Gervain at the ready, and then that is going to bring us to, you're going to once again hear this water breaking. And again, you don't have a lot of light, but because now you are more aware and you are paying attention. Anyone have dark vision?
Slane does.
Okay, so those of you with dark vision, you're
That's
going
me,
to...
well, sorry.
Okay, great. Those of you with dark vision, you are going to see this large, massive arm reach out, and it's definitely not humanoid in this situation. It's almost got this very amphibious, webbed fingers, but there's these massive, dark, thick, long claws at the end, and it's got some thick heft to it. And you just see this arm pull down and actually is going to snag a corner of the barge and start splintering off a section of the barge, and it quickly goes back under. And once again, you're going to feel the boat itself rock again, as you can tell it's now swimming under, almost trying to bump the barge itself onto its side. So everyone who is on the boat needs to do another dex save. Okay, we're looking at 17, 21, 18. Who are we missing? Oh, we have everyone there. Okay, so yeah, you all managed to make it. This is rocking again, and at this point, you're going to see Ryurik. He is very much thinking the same way that Gervain is. He has gone back into the hut. He's pulled out a length of rope, and he's actually tied it around his torso while tying the other end to that little hut that is in the middle of the barge. He's going to look at all of you. There are creatures in these waters. We never know what it could be. This is why silence was key, but unfortunately, something has found us. Be ready for whatever. Hopefully you can swim if need be. And he is going to also jump into the water on the other side, letting the rope kind of trail behind him. So we have Ryurik and Slane in the water trying to swim towards Rupert. And I got to give a quick little check here for our buddy Uri to see how he does for his save. Did that even roll? Come on, be nice. Okay, and as you see Ryurik jump in, Uri is also trying to help out and was attempting to wave his oar at the massive arm that came out, but in doing so and then having the boat rock, he has lost his footing, and you see him as well fall into the water. And that's going to bring us to Zira.
I don't think I'm strong enough to pull anybody out, so I'm going to go back close to Gervain, and I'm going to actually use rope to tie myself to him in case we get knocked over and go into the water, and I don't have to swim by myself. And I'm going to just look in the opposite direction they're looking to see if anything comes that way.
Okay, so Zira has lashed herself to Gervain. Flotation device. Okay, great. And Maurice, what are you going to do?
Is the creature still circling the boat?
You're still seeing the wake happening. It's kind of circling around and circling around. It shallows itself up. As you can tell, the creature must be going deeper. But as it gets close to the surface, the wake does get stronger, and you start hearing the water slushing against itself, as well as the sides of the barge.
Maurice would basically try to keep an eye on it as best as he can. Being a Gearforged, he just like his head would rotate as he follows it around the boat, rather than like trying to crane his neck. And he would try to ready Sacred Flame for when it jumps out and tries to attack the boat again. So he'd start kind of churning with that little bit of light in his core as the holy energy kind of builds up for his attack.
Okay, great. So you're going to hold your action until your next to see if it comes back out and you can attack in some shape or form with your Sacred Flame.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. All right, that's going to bring us back up and around to the top with AOL. You are up again, and this thing is now... Go for it.
I think AOL's going to ready an action. They've already seen that firing things into the water doesn't seem to work. I guess the mists just swallow it. So we're going to ready and wait for this thing to come out.
Okay, holding action. Slain, you are in the water swimming. Let's do another athletics, see how you do.
13.
Okay, well, this is a strong river current. You are able to keep yourself above water. You're not able to make as much progress as you had hoped. However, you are still able to see Rupert in the distance. He is holding on to that oar. You can see he is struggling as you are against this, not against the current, but trying to keep himself above with the current so it doesn't push him down and under into the water itself. Is there anything you want to do while you're still swimming? Do you want to try and communicate with those on the barge, or do you want to try and communicate with Rupert?
So he's not. There's not a monster near him either. They just like.
You're not noticing. No, you don't. Yeah, it seems to be focused mostly around. You see it like continuously circling the barge. It's not going after those who have jumped in.
Okay. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to use as much of my, whatever I can to get to him. If I can dash or just like try to work with the current, I guess maybe instead of fighting it. But yeah, that's what I do.
Okay, so I'm going to say that you're still able to keep neck and neck with that roll. So you haven't lost ground, but you haven't gained either.
Okay.
So he's still in line of sight. You're still about 25 feet apart. You're still above water. That's most important. That takes us to your vein. With Zero now lashed to your leg, you're holding the rope and everything at the ready along with the spear. What would you like to do?
Yeah, I'm going to see Slay not making a lot of progress because I was holding my action to throw it to see if he got there. And then I seeing Zira tie herself over to me. I'm going to be like, well, that's a good idea. I'm going to go towards that thing. I don't know what it is, but we need to figure out what it is. So you said that there's a large, massive amphibious arm that came and hit the barge. Is it still on the barge or not anymore?
No, it's pulled itself back down. It's made contact, pulled itself back down, and it's gone back to doing the circle pattern going around.
All right. I'm going to get one of my hand axes, my throwable hand axes, hold an action. If I see him swim in front of me and spot that, then I'm just going to throw my hand axe at him. So I'm going to hold my action to throw a hand axe once I spot him.
Okay, great. So you are holding your axe aloft and holding this action to see if anything comes up. And once again, you're hearing this water break, and you're feeling the waters sort of shifting the barge, so it's become more turbulent. And out comes this, in the back area of the board, you're going to see more of this pointed spear-like tail come out, and it's going to take its flattened end. It's actually going to lash itself down on another corner and again make contact with the barge, and you're going to hear this splintering and cracking, and you're going to see this tail slowly pull itself back and down and under the water. And again, the boat has been rocked as a result of this, so everyone needs to do another deck save and see how you do with this. Those of you who are on the boat.
Before I do my deck save, can I try to shoot him with that readied Sacred Flame?
Yep. I was going to say, so for those of you who were holding the action, you can also take your actions at this point as you see it starting to slide back into water.
So it'll have to do a dexterity save, but it gets no benefit from cover when it's trying to do a dex save against Sacred Flame. I'm hoping that'll deal with whatever this mist nonsense is.
Okay, let's see how it does. It doesn't have the dexterity, so it got a 9.
So that'll do it. Slash 1d8.
So tell me what happens with this as Maurice lets loose his Sacred Flame.
It's decent actually. So as the tail comes up and kind of slashes down, that building light in Maurice's core sort of hits a crescendo and just and then fires off like a mortar as it's done previously. So this arc of light kind of shoots upwards from him and then curves down and slams into the tail. I guess singeing it a little bit and hopefully making it feel discouraged from hitting the boat anymore. But I guess we'll see. Yeah, 7 radiant damage.
Awesome. And then Gervain, you see this happening with Maurice. Do you throw your axe at this time as well? What's that?
I just throw it. I see it happening behind me. I assume it's behind me, so I see Maurice's light just arc off into the sky. And since Gervain's human can barely see at night, I see this like spark of light letting me know right where it is, and I'm just gonna turn around and throw my axe right at it.
Okay, let's see if it hits then.
All right. Well, we'll see. Sweet.
Yeah, you hit. So let's see what the damage is. All right, so in this almost ninja-like spin around, toss the axe, you do manage to get the axe to. No, we're only taking the one, sweetie. To aim true, it's going to basically land itself into this spade-like tail. But keep in mind, this tail is now being pulled under the water, and you're going to watch your hand axe go along with it.
Yep, sounds good. I lose 1 hand axe. Yep.
Okay, but you did do 3 damage, so you're making a little nick in this creature. And then Riorik, he is also trying to swim along. Let's see how he manages. All right, so he, like you, Slain, he is able to keep above the water. You see that he is trying to swim now towards where Yuri had gone off, having seen that happen. So you have Riorik going towards Yuri, you have Slain going towards Rupert. So you're actually kind of on opposite directions at this point because they're on opposite sides of the boat. So that's what's happening with Riorik, Yuri, Rupert, and Slain. And then we're going to jump down to Zira. You are still lashed. What would you like to do?
I want to use my sword and maybe Gervain's shield, if he'll let me, to like make a whole bunch of noise. And like, I'm very good at insulting monsters, but hey, you big stupid thing, and try to get its attention instead of, so it doesn't attack the people in the water, and maybe not the boat and sink the boat.
Okay. All right. So you want to keep the noise on the boat, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
That's my husband closing a window. Sorry. Let's do persuasion or intimidation. I will let you take that choice.
Okay. 1. Oh wait. I don't know if it counts. Does halfling luck count for skill checks? Let me look. Or if anybody knows.
I thought it counted for any D20 roll.
I thought it was any roll.
Okay. I'm going to re-roll it then.
Sure.
11.
Okay, so with an 11, you're definitely making noise, but quite frankly, it doesn't even seem to affect this creature. It's still doing its spinning around, and you're going to notice that the water is waking as it goes deeper. It slows down as it comes up to the surface. It picks up speed again. But that takes us to Maurice. You've seen your Sacred Flame hit it. What would you like to do?
Well, so I hit it, and like it obviously didn't really react or respond or anything like that. So Maurice really isn't too sure what to do. Everybody that's in the water has somebody kind of going after them, so he'll just do the same thing. He'll ready up another Sacred Flame, kind of start that whirling inner mechanism that starts to glow, and just try to hit it again if it shows up again.
Okay. All right. So holding the action again. That brings us up to the top of this round with Aol. Can you hear us, or are you still camera issues? I think she might still be having some issues. So we're going to pause on Aol, which then takes us to Slain. Let's go with you.
All right, so Slain finds the eye of the tiger in it and said, oh, yeah, there we go. That's much better. Going after Rupert.
Okay, so what does it look like for Slane as he's finally able to get with the flow of the current as he's trying to swim towards Rupert, as Rupert is also drifting further back away from the barge area, moving further down the river.
He's got his knife in his teeth because he read that or heard of that in the story once, and just like head down, right, plow through the waves, and it's making a lot of noise, probably doing it, but he just like powers straight through and rides the current down, and if I can, I will get underneath Rupert to kind of like boost him up and not swim right on top of him. That makes sense.
Okay. Sure, let's have it where I will let you get to him at this point. The second part you want to do, we'll do it at the next turn. Okay, because this is a strong current that is definitely pulling at you guys. So you're able to connect with Rupert, and he's actually going to gratefully, and he's almost going to offer this ore to you as well. Right, well, this is exciting.
Yeah.
You're kind of both holding, it's the ore of safety, essentially. So the two of you at least have made connection. You are still caught up in this river current. You can see what's happening back at the barge more with like the shadows and the burst of the spells that are happening, but you can't see exactly what's going on because you are finding yourself being pulled into this mist. It's surrounding you even more so. So it's almost as if you're lucky if you can see each other at some points when the mist flows between the two of you. This mist is thickening up. Gervain, it is your turn.
All right, cool. We're good. So, what I'm going to do is, I saw that Zira tied herself to me from last round, and also took my shield once I was done throwing. Like, my shield hand was back, and she took that, and I'm just like, all right. I'm gonna see if there is if it's tied together like a wooden barge where there's like knots kind of like square knotted to each other or lashed on together. I'm gonna put my hand where that lash point is and then get into the water where I'm like chest deep, like using it to kind of keep me up. And I'm just gonna have my spear out waiting for it to come around and circle around to me. So kind of just like doing that thing where you're kind of spear fishing because I have my spear and I'm just holding on to the barge one-handed and waiting for it to come around. I'm gonna hold my action.
All right, great. So you've jumped in water. Zira, you weren't like completely tied to him. You do have a length rope between the two of you, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, great. Just making sure. So, all right, you're holding on to that little bit of lashing on the side of the barge. You are in water, ready and raring to go as this thing sweeps back around. Do we have AWOL back yet, or is she still kind of? Is Torn Pixie still kind of floating around on us? I think we're still working on it. All right, so then this creature is going to come back around. Well, she's typing. That's good. You're there. Okay, so type out what you'd like to do. So we know what AWOL's going to do. And we can go from there so that you don't lose your turn on this one. Okay. We're going to have to work on that one then. So I'm going to have this creature pop out. Again, you see this, and actually, Gervain, because of your jumping in and being up against the boat, it is hearing sounds against the boat on this one corner. And it is going to swing around. And there we go. You're going to see coming towards you this wake as it gets larger and bigger and stronger. And all of a sudden, just up in front of you, Gervain, you're going to see this massive mouth, this almost frog-like grin, lift up and out of the water. And in this jaw, you see these long, jagged, spiky, almost thorn-like looking teeth. And they're all crowded together. It's not like a nice line or anything like that. But this massive jaw just opens its mouth, and it almost gets close to biting you. And lucky for you, it's getting closer and closer and closer. But its jaw snaps right before it can get to you. However, it is right in front of you, and you've been holding action. What would you like to do?
I'm going to see if it's going to open its mouth up again, and I'm going to try and stab into the roof of its mouth.
It's closed its jaw at this point. Its head is still above.
All right. I'm just going to stab it in the face.
Okay, so let's roll and see if you can make contact then.
All right.
Okay, so you do manage... You do manage to hit it. Where do you stab this with your spear?
Does it have gills of any kind?
Not that you can tell at this point unless you were to take
All right.
time and you're kind of in the middle of something.
Nope, I'm gonna stab it right in its cheek. Like, if it has any, like, nice, cheek area that's exposed, I'm just gonna go ahead and stab it right there.
Okay, so you go and you
My
stab it,
trident.
and you feel it. You feel your trident like hit this leathery, thick skin, and it lodges in. Do you pull it back out, or do you keep it lodged in there?
I'm gonna ride the lightning. I'm just gonna stick it in there and go with it.
Okay, so it is actually going to go down back under the boat again. So as it's doing this, you need to give me a Constitution save.
Oh boy.
Before it dives down, can I hit it with my ready to action?
That's what you're holding. Yes, so you're holding, and this thing's large enough, so you see this thing coming up, and you can let loose.
Okay. It can do a
Maurice?
dex save to try to dodge it, unless I can just hit it because it's eating a boat.
Just see if you hit it. Let's go with that one, because right now we've got Gervain stabbing it. It's not really going to do too well with dexterity anyways.
That's
7.
another 7 radiant damage, so that's pretty solid.
Awesome. Okay, so it takes that 7 again. And Gervain, you feel yourself holding on to your trident. You feel yourself getting pulled under these dark waters. And this thing, you can feel it's pulling you down. Which means, Zira, you are also attached to Gervain
Oh shit.
at this time. It has pulled Gervain under. It is also going under the boat. So once again, everyone who is on the boat needs to give me a dex save as it angrily hits this boat full force. So that's Maurice and Zira and hopefully AOL if we can get her back. There we go. Okay, so AOL is
5.
fine. Okay, Zira, you got a 5. And Maurice?
A 13.
A 13. So Maurice and AOL were able to hold their ground. She's back! So AOL will play this where just before you see Maurice make his target, just before this creature goes under the water and pulls Gervain, is there anything you want to do to this creature before its head disappears under the water? So you can get your turn in on this round.
Yes, I'm gonna try Eldritch Fat Blast again.
Okay, this time you do see it hits. So describe what happens as you see this, as this Eldritch Blast goes towards this massive toad-like head of creature with these crazy, pointy, snarly jaws of doom.
I'd like to think that it coalesces much the way it has before, where it's a bunch of like energy, black energy thingies. I can't remember how I did it previously. That kind of coalesce. Yeah, that coalesce into being, but as they do, they kind of flicker this time.
Okay, cool. And then let's see what the... Okay, ooh, another... Lucky 7. Look at us looking with 7s. All right, so now we have 7 points of damage done to this creature's head as it goes under. And Gervain is being pulled under as well with the... I gotta scroll back up because, you roll 20. So you got a 17. So Gervain, you were able to get that very important gasp of air as this thing has pulled you under. All right? You can kind of ride the lightning, as you said, with this guy. You have a full breath of air. You're being pulled underneath. And Zira, with your 5, you're actually knocked off your feet, rather. What would you like to do? You see this length of rope starting to disappear underneath the water, taking Gervain with it. What are you going to do? Since you've latched yourself to Gervain, who is holding on to this river creature.
Oh, I'm going to... I don't know if he wants to stay with it or not. I'm going to slam my sword into the barge and try to hold on so that he doesn't get dragged away from the boat.
Okay. So you slam your sword into the boat as this thing is starting to lose length with the rope itself. You're going to need to give me a strength save on this one.
22.
22. All right. So
strong.
You've managed to get your sword in nice and firm, so you're able to hold on to your sword, which has helped you. You feel this pull at your... Did you put it around your waist?
Yeah.
The rope? Okay, you feel this pull at your waist. You're actually strong enough to stay attached to the boat. However, the rope itself starts to splinter and fray and breaks away from the intensity of being pulled by the creature, and you're counter-pulling against it. So you now have a frayed rope attached to your body. Jervain, you are flying loose and free with a critter number something underneath the water. And that is going to have me... Oh, I forgot to do Ruric. Ruric is also trying to swim up and catch with Uri. Let's see how he does with that one. All right, you see Ruric in the distance. He is gaining ground. He's getting closer and closer to Yuri, but suddenly you see this mist sweep up around them, and they are no longer visible from the deck area of the barge. And now we are at Maurice.
So seeing that Jermaine is still lashed to it and kind of like using his eyes to like follow the rope and seeing that it goes to Zira, Maurice is basically going to stow his mace and run over and grab the rope and then like set all of his like almost 500 pounds of weight against it and try to just haul back as best as he can.
Okay, I like how you're thinking. So we're gonna do strength checks against each other. Let's see what happens with this. You give me a strength check. I'm gonna do one for this lovely little fellow.
Okay. Oh, he's not very strong, but he's hefty. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, but the fates are with you, my friend. Oh, look at that. Okay,
yeah,
so
looks like it.
What does this look like for Maurice as he's sort of hunkered down, using his heft to start pulling this creature back towards him, seeing Jervain is attached?
Well, he's pulled his mace kind of like out of like a secret compartment sort of thing before, so he basically just does the opposite and just like shoves it up and somewhere in his back as he like hauls. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna say that, but as he runs as fast as he can towards this happening, and he grabs the rope and kind of like wraps around his fist really tight, and then just like leans as far back as he can and yanks, and his whole body kind of like tightens up and coils closer to try to give him like a lower center of gravity against this thing.
Okay, so let's see how you do with. Roll me a d10. We'll see how many feet you get to pull him back in.
Ooh.
We'll have the dice work for us tonight.
3.
Okay. So as you're pulling on this rope, you see it's getting pulled back. We're going to do 5 feet per number, so 15 feet get pulled back in. So Jervain, you are seeing the surface coming back up closer as this is happening. This creature is not happy. It is lashing around. You can feel that it is straining, trying to pull itself further away as you are holding on to it. So you as well, because you're holding onto your trident that is stuck into this creature, you as well need to give a strength check, and let's see if you're able to keep this attached to creature. I'm using the same roll that I had with Maurice, so you've got that. Okay, with the 4. No. So while Maurice is able to pull this length, you are able to hold on for as long as possible, almost helping him get this creature pulled up closer and closer to the surface. At the very last moment with this tug, you feel your hands give way as you release, and this creature is now free again. It's also not very happy because of what's been happening at this point. And that brings us up and around to the top with AOL.
AOL's going to go ahead and hold fair action until there's another chance to actually hit because they see it.
Okay. And then Slane. Are you done with it? I'm sorry, are you finished with AOL besides holding action? What specific hold action are you going to do, though? What do you have intended for this?
Longbow.
Longbow. Okay. So you're going to do longbow at the ready to see if it, like, what do you want it to do for you to release your arrow?
Just needs to break water.
Okay, great. So then, Slane, you are at this oar with Rupert.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to do?
I would like, so we can't see the boat, right? The mists are separating us.
Yeah, the mists are starting to separate the two of you. You're able to hear what's going on, and whenever one of the spellcasters uses their spells, you'll see sort of like fireworks behind clouds situation or lightning behind clouds. You'll see this flashing very quickly, so you at least have frame of reference how far away you are at this point. But you are being carried by this current. You are now lighter. You're not on this heavy barge, so you're actually finding yourselves pulled further and further and further away as you are being pulled downriver. So you're probably like a good 60 feet away at this point.
Is it possible to touch the bottom with the oar? Like, could we use the ore as a brace to like jam it into the riverbed, or is it too deep?
That's a good question. I like that. Let's do acrobatics, since you're kind of juggling getting the ore to go down into the water and also stay above water at the same time.
All right. Can we work together on it?
You can do it with advantage. She'll help you. You can do it with advantage.
All right. Hey, there we go. I appreciate that.
So the two of you kind of link arms together, and it's like Rupert can kind of get an idea of what you're doing. As you push this ore in, the ore itself is probably about no more than 7 feet in length. You're not hitting bottom, but you can tell that there is depth underneath you as a result. So it's not that you have to worry about getting tossed upon shoals or anything like that yet.
Gotcha. All right. If there's anything else I can do, I'll just try to keep my head above water and think of something else.
Okay. Well, you have this ore, you're linked together, so you can kind of act as sort of like your own little miniature wrapped together with this going on. All right. So we'll leave it with the two of you still getting pulled down the water a little bit further. Gervain, you are released from this creature, and you feel yourself being pulled back up into the water, to the surface. You're kind of midway between. Do you want to try and swim after, or do you want to break the surface and get back up onto the barge, or how do you want to handle this?
Do I still see my trident spear in the creature?
Does it glow?
No.
No. These are dark waters.
I'm going to say an expletive under the water and let some of the air go out of my lungs. And then knowing that I'm underwater and just letting the expletive out, I'm going to start coughing. So I'm just going to head towards where I'm being pulled. Because I can only go by what I feel. So I'm going to try and head towards the tugging of the rope, knowing that someone still has me. And I guess I'll spend my whole movement and action getting out, following the line, and trying to get back out of the water.
Okay, so Gervain, you're back up on the barge with Maurice having tugged along. You're able to get back up, and let's even have it so you're on your feet and everything at the ready. Do you have any other weapon that you want to have in hand?
I'm going to bring out my second hand axe. That's the last weapon I have. And I look over to Zira. Zira, give me back my shield. I need that. I lost my streak. Please. And then I just reach my hand out to try and aggressively grab it from her and get ready to just waylay on this creature, hoping it comes back so I can take my trident back.
Okay. All right. So you have gotten yourself established. Again, you're going to see this creature break the water, and it is going to, this time, you feel the water is really shifting. It's almost as if it's gotten a little feisty now after everything that's been done to it. And you're feeling these waters get more and more rocky, so you're actually feeling this barge rock itself back and forth, so you actually need to do the dexterity save first before it's going to even come out quite yet. For those of you on the boat, so that's Gervain, Maurice.
4.
Oof. That is not a good dexterity throw. That is a 3.
All right, so for those of you who got below the 10, you are all knocked off your feet at this point. Eowyn, you are able to keep your footing, but you're still a little bit wobbly from this as this creature rises from the water, and you're actually going to see two of these massive arms, again, with the webbed feet at the end, the claws at the end, this massive gaping mouth. It seems like this toady grin spread across its face. The mouth is open wide, the arms are up as it is lifting itself up and out, and it's at the back of the boat, and you can see it's ready to basically do a full body check onto the back part of the barge. And it is going to, luckily for you, almost seem a little bit discombobulated itself from the trident that is still stuck in the side of its head, so it's not quite making sense of things. So it goes to make contact with the barge, but it misses. However, it's created this large wake, and you feel the boat sort of shuttled further forward as a result. As this thing has come up out of the water, those of you holding actions, what would you like to do?
We're going to use that action.
Okay.
We're really going to use that action.
And you really use it. You hit. So how much damage do you get going with this one? 8. Ooh, very nice. All right, so that is
at the same time, AOL's going to tell everyone to look out. because it looks like it's getting on the boat.
Okay. And then, was anyone else holding action to attack? Maurice? Did we get to you yet?
Not this time.
Okay. So that's taking its action. Let's see for York. York is still staying above the water. He is not able to catch up with Yuri yet. Yuri is being further carried down the river, unlike with Slain and Rupert being able to catch him. And while you won't be able to see it at this point, he has taken his dagger out, and he's actually cut that rope that he's been attached to, allowing himself to get carried along with the current as well, in hopes it'll help him catch up with Yuri. And that brings us then to Zira.
I am going to give back the shield. Oh, sorry. And then is there can I see where there's an anchor or anything?
You can look in that little hut that's in the back of the barge and see if there's anything that's going to act as an anchor.
That is what I would like to do.
Okay, so go ahead and give me quick perception. We're not going to do investigation because you're in no combat here. Let's see if you can quickly.
3.
All right, so you're looking back there. Unfortunately, everything is covered underneath tarps, and again, it is darker out. You don't have full moonlight. You don't have lights on this barge, much to your consternation. So you're rifling through, but you're not finding anything that would actually act as an anchor while you are in the back of this little storage hut at the back of the barge. Maurice?
Well, Gervain's up and out of the water, so obviously I'll let go of the rope. He's really not sure what to do, so I think he would... Do I have any, just general buffs I can do? Not really. He'd pretty much just take the mace back out, I guess, and brace himself.
Okay.
Do his best to try to be ready to hit it again with another... hit it again with another fireball if it comes up.
Okay, so you're ready to fire.
Only option.
Okay, sure. Readying the fireball.
Yeah.
Getting yourself going. So that brings us back up to the top with AOL. What would you like to do at this point for this round?
This thing is still out and invisible, right?
It's still in the, if you want to try and do a quick look and see if you can find it quickly, because you could do that, but...
Is that with advantage since they have dark vision?
It's still kind of... It's not going to be... It's more like just a regular roll in this case.
Okay.
Okay, so you're looking for it. At most, you're just seeing the wake of this water working around. So you can kind of use the wake as a means to back gauge it, like tracking as if you were tracking a shot. But you don't see it breaking surface. This thing has gone back underwater again.
I'm gonna just track it for a bit and hold my action then, ready to fire it on it again when it breaks surface.
All right. Okay. So Slain, you're in the mist now. You're basically waiting for any type of spell to give you a clue of where they are. You have Rupert working with you. What would you like to try and do?
So, Rupert, let's take this and use this oar, and I don't know, use it like a boogie board and see how bad it is to try to paddle upriver, like holding the oar out in front to kind of keep our buoyancy.
Okay, so I'll give you an athletics with advantage on this one.
Okay.
To see if you can make some progress with it.
Doubtful with that roll.
Yeah, bless your hearts, you try. So he's all for it. He's thinking, yes, let's go for it. Let's see if we can make this progress. You're both sitting there holding onto the oar, kicking your legs furiously, but the current has gotten even stronger. It's almost like the river is starting to open itself up further. It's no longer a more narrow, calmer river. It's growing on itself. So you feel this current really getting stronger and pushing you further down as a result. In fact, let's do a roll 10 and let's see how many feet it's going to push you further away at this point.
All right. We'll just continue to flail and make a bunch of noise.
It's those kids and those, learning how to swim in groups where it's just kick at the side of the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you roll a d10, let's see how many feet you fall back further away from the ball.
Sure. 8.
Okay, so this is going to push you back significantly with it. I'll cap it at 20 feet. So you're pushed back another 20 feet away from the boat. So you're really not as close as you were at all. I think that actually pushes you towards 80 feet because last we said it was 60.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. All right. So we're 80 feet away. Cool.
Okay. Well, you're still above water at least.
Right.
Gervain, what are you going to be doing now at this point?
Now that I grab my shield back from Zira, I'm going to say, thank you, Zira. And then I'm going to get my shield, put away my hand axe, and with my shield, I'm going to go to the side of the ship, or the barge, staying on the barge, like getting on my knees, and basically using the shield to kind of like slap the water really hard over and over to kind of hopefully lure the beast over, because it seems like water splashes or water noises is what's attracting it, and then save my action to pull my trident back out to try and retrieve it to see if this is going to work out. And that's all I'm doing during my turn.
Okay, so you're like catfishing the monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you're noodling for this big creature using your shield.
Yeah.
Just to see it'll help draw it towards you. So now we're back to the creature itself. AOL, you're holding your action as well. So let's see what happens here. It is going to... you see that this wake almost seems to have not calmed, but it's not as noticeable as it has been. In fact, it almost seems like you see this wake sort of taper down, taper down, taper down. And as you're standing there waiting, you feel this sudden lurch dead center of the barge, and there is this huge bump right in the middle as it happens, this big thud, which means that all of you on this boat, once again, we need to do this dex save as this happens. Okay, great.
13.
And then
Sorry, I'm just pulling mine back up. I was looking at my spells.
Maurice.
It's not going to be good.
Oh, all right. So Maurice, with
It's
that,
a 3.
it's a 3. So Maurice, with that 3, you feel this barge rock, and because of where you've been standing, you've actually feel yourself lose your footing. And as this happens, you suddenly go from standing on solid ground of the barge to feeling your body encompassed by the water as you have been thrown from the barge itself. And you are encompassed in the water in darkness. You hear what's going on in terms of the motions of the water and everything like that, but you are no longer on the barge. This creature is also going to, along with bumping the barge, you're going to see the massive one arm come back up and around, and it is going to swing, and it is going to try and hit mid-center of the barge as well. The barge. All right, and with that, it is going to actually be able to take a chunk out of the barge, and the barge is starting to take on water as a result because of the way it is built. So the barge is now listing slightly, and it is starting to do like this. It's not sinking quite yet, but it is definitely not as on kilter as it was before. And then this creature is going to, you've seen its arm come up, so those of you holding action, AOL, you're going to go for it at this point, seeing the arm come up to strike. Oh, look at that. You strike, and let's see how much damage you do. Oh, sweet. Good job. So with 10 piercing, you actually hear like this grating, hissing sound almost coming from this creature, like this gurgling. I can't make the sound, but I'm describing it. So there's like this hissing, bubbly water sound coming from this creature as you have made contact with it once again. It is definitely not happy, and this time it's almost keeping the one claw latched into the barge itself. It is not going back under. It is holding onto this, which is adding to the tilt of what's happening on the barge itself. Riorik is going downriver further. So you can catch up with him. We shall see. No. Riorik is trying to go over to Yuri. You might hear his, in the distance, this scream of frustration as he has lost sight of Yuri and is now being pulled into the current itself. And Zira, what would you like to do? You see this one arm that is now lodged and with its great claws stuck into the barge itself. It is pulling it, so it is listing. What would you like?
I would like to try to take my sword and pierce it through its hand, so I kind of like trap it on the edge of the boat. Can I try to do that, or is it a thick hand? Okay.
It is far too massive of a massive hand for you to be able to do this with it. You can try and do injury to it. There's no way you could pin this thing. No way whatsoever.
Cool. I want to try to do injury to it then.
Okay.
And I will. 22.
22 will definitely strike, and you do 6 piercing. Beautiful. Again, it's the water's become more agitated as it keeps taking on further and further injury and pain. You can still feel it has its strength. It's almost determined to keep this hand grasped into the wood. So it's not going anywhere, but you can tell you've made it upset by doing so. And then that takes us to Maurice.
So Maurice doesn't need to breathe. He's actually got a lot of experience around and in the water, but not when he looks like this. So he's gonna essentially sigh, which is just gonna look like a stream of bubbles kind of like going up. And he'll right himself and kind of stow his mace, and even as he's like gradually kind of sinking down, he's just gonna like curl his hands up and assume a sort of praying position and start praying to Sigouet and try to earn Sigouet's favor and hopefully cause his domain timer to spin a little soon.
Okay, so you're meditating with Maurice underwater.
Basically, as he sinks, he's just praying to a different god, so it's just a lot of murmurs and bubbles kind of making their way up to the surface.
Okay, there wouldn't be so much the bubbles because I don't believe that the Gearforge have lungs in which to produce air.
Touché.
So it might be more of maybe like oil slicks.
Sure.
Because you've just oiled yourself. So you'll probably see like this oil slick building from about where he has been. So we have Maurice just sort of doing his thing underwater. At this point, everyone needs to give me a perception check.
$17.
Okay, great.
15.
Yep. Maurice, did you go yet? Because you can do this too.
Not yet.
Okay, you're too engrossed in your meditation. So for those of you who got above a 13, those of you who got above a 13, you're noticing that things have become louder. It's not just the water around the boat that is making a significant amount of noise. You are hearing the sound of crashing water, of water hitting stone, and things like that. You are fast coming up upon an area of rapids. And those of you in the water, that is going to become an issue very soon because you're feeling this current pick up. You're hearing the water. You're hearing this crashing sound. Those of you on the barge, let's take this around and see what's going to happen. AOL, what would you like to do? You have the one massive hand grasped and clawed into the deck.
I'm going to take a look around and see if I can find anything on the deck that could potentially be used, like a barrel or something. I've got a feeling this barge isn't going to last very long, and anything would be better than nothing if we've got to stow ourselves in something.
So, AOL, you're looking for your flotation device at this point.
Yep.
Is what you're saying. Okay, perception check. Your own at this point. No, I saw it. It's there. You got a 9. So with a 9, there's really nothing there that's going to act as a flotation device for you. It's been a pretty clear deck outside of the stuff that's stashed in the back. Nothing there is visible to you, so you can't even go searching back there from where you're standing. So that is what you've done with this turn, is looking for your flotation device. There wasn't anything available for you.
Nothing.
Okay, Slain. You and Rupert, you're hearing this because you're actually right on top of them at this point. I need you to give me a Constitution save because you are now being pulled into the rapids of the river.
All right. So with that, all right, there's my Constitution save.
Okay.
And before we go under, is there? I'm gonna just scream out to Rupert. Which bank are we supposed to be on? Which bank do we need to make for?
And he'll say to our left, which is going to be, hold on, you've turned around. So he's going to point to your left, so the east side of the river because you're heading south.
East bank. Okay, yeah, all right.
Okay.
And that do I have an idea of how far away that is?
You're caught up in these mists. So you're not sure how far away the sidebar. You are caught up in the rapids themselves now. You do manage to keep above the rapids, and you're being pulled further away into this darkness, and you're realizing you no longer can even hear what's happening at the barge anymore because the rapids are so loud and strong. And then that takes us to Gervain.
All right. Do I see my trident at all, or is its head under the water currently?
Heads under the water, an arm is latched and locked onto the one side of the barge.
All right.
It's actually it's locked onto the west side bank of the barge.
All right. And is there a bank, like a river bank, or like some sort of land nearby? None.
Not that you can see because the mist.
I'm gonna get my hand axe and basically just go to town on the hand that I see. That's all I
Okay,
can
so you
do.
go to hack in hand. Let's see if you make contact with it.
15.
All right, so you just hit with that. What's the damage?
I believe it's gonna be 6 slashing.
Okay. All right, so with 6 slashing, you feel this creature getting extremely upset, and it's coming right after you. As the one clawed hand, arm is locked into this, you see the other one start to rise up at the other side, sort of not the full side, but like the other side of the corner, and it's trying to grab and pull down. You're also going to see its head rise up and above, and its mouth has opened up, and this creature has now got its mouth wide open. The other arm makes contact with the barge. You see its mouth bite into the barge, and it is going to pull down and basically lift everyone up. So the boat has tipped, and you feel yourself starting to slide into this water. As you feel yourself slide, you hear the barge itself sort of give way, and there is this cracking sound as it breaks. And again, it's getting louder because of the currents picking up. You are now all in the water. Everyone needs to give me a Constitution save. As the boat has fallen into pieces, you are in the rapids, and it has gotten a hook into this barge that is so sought out before. All right, so we have Gervain. All right, so with Aol, the last thing you see, and you wish that you could have found that barrel, you feel yourself hit the water, and the shock of hitting the water from the distance that you hit it makes it so that you pretty much have lost consciousness at this point. The last thing you feel is your feet slid behind you, and then yourself dipping into the water, and the shock of it knocks it so that you don't know what's going on. Michael and Kai, with your saves, Gervain is able to get into the water and not be completely knocked out, but you are having trouble keeping above it with the rapids. Kai, you are able to get into the water as well. You're trying your best to move through it and go and work your way, but you're feeling yourself pulled and pulled and pulled. And as this is happening, the mist is coming in further and further and further to the point where you can't even tell where the next person is around you. You're relying on the sound of things, on hearing the others call out to each other if there's anyone around you as you're being pulled down into this rapid area. So as you're being pulled in, let's do one more round of Constitution saves and see what happens here.
And these Constitution saves, it's not for like trying to breathe or anything, right? Just making sure.
Just seeing if you're making it through this rapid area right now. Are you going to survive it?
Gotcha.
All right, so Maurice with the 21, you're just kind of hanging out, and you're actually almost coasting in the calmer parts of the water.
It's kind of like moonwalking down to the bottom.
Yeah, you're pretty much sort of dancing along the bottom. So you're using the advantage of the fact that you have this weight to pull through to do this. So you're in the water, bouncing around. You can't see, but you can tell that those rougher waters are on top. All right, so for AOL, you managed to come slightly to your senses after the shock, but you were struggling as you feel yourself being pulled away into the current. Same thing for Gervain. Kai, you are able to keep above the water. You have no idea where anyone is, but you managed to keep yourself afloat as you're being pulled through the water. Did we get Slain as well? Jim, did you roll for your...
I got one on my turn. I don't know if I need to do another one.
This is for everyone now at this point because you're in the rapids still. Okay, so you've got that 11. So unfortunately, with the way these currents are working, you've actually felt yourself separated from Rupert. You lost grip of this oar, and you two are getting pulled through these currents. And so essentially what's happening now is you have these mists coming in and it's closing it around you, and it's almost like it's acting as a damper now. The mist has encased each and every one of you. You're not hearing the sounds that you thought you would before. You're not seeing or responding as you had thought you would before. And you feel yourselves being pulled into this darkness, everyone except for Maurice, that is, as you feel your bodies being pulled into this current and further down the river. Maurice, as you are underneath this water, you almost feel like your joints are starting to lock up. And what was easy and fluid, you're noticing it's as if the metal is grinding against itself, and you feel your limbs just lock up completely as this water is now buffering you up, and further down the river. And you are basically suspended in animation.
As soon as he would feel himself tensing up that much, he'd kind of keep trying to go as much as he could and then slowly bring his hand up and put it down in the symbol of Sagotin, which is the sea god, or the dragon of the sea anyway, which would be a trident with a two-headed snake wrapped around it. And kind of to just be like his final moment of fealty as he freezes up.
Okay, so you leave it with this hand on the marking in homage to your sea god. However, your sea god is not hearing you at this point. And the next thing you know, everything goes dark for everyone. Now, it's the next day. And you find yourself on what feels like shore. At least you hope it's the shore. And again, this mist is still hanging around you, thick and dense, muffling the sounds. You can't really take in too much more beyond the lapping of the river water against it. And you're going to have it where Slain and Gervain, you are the first to sort of wake up and take things in.
We're together.
So you're together. So you are together. You have a very weak bit of sunlight showing through this mist. You're probably about 15 feet away from each other. But you've made it.
Anywhere near water?
You're on the edge
Are
of
we
the
anywhere
shoreline.
On the edge of the shoreline,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, you're on the edge of the shoreline.
And do we know which bank we're on? Can we get our bearing that way? Like if we look at the direction the water's flowing?
You can tell that the water is flowing downriver. Yes.
Sure.
So it's one of those things where, well, let's see how you do this. Let's
So
do a
Slain-
survival.
So, yeah, okay. So he's going to
do
look. It's
survival.
like if it's
Yeah.
down his right side, I think he's going to be. All right. There we go.
Okay, so you're able to determine that you are unfortunately not on the coast or the side of the river as you'd hoped. You're actually back on the west coast of the river instead of on the east. Yes,
Is there
doing reverse method.
okay.
Yeah.
And then is there any debris or anything along the shoreline? Any of the barge or anything with us?
You can certainly go around and try and do a perception check. Gervain, what would you be doing at this point?
That's what Slane's going to be doing.
I'm gonna look at my body to see if I'm like bashed up or anything's out of order or like bleeding, and I'm gonna look over to Slane to see if he's all right. And then after that, looking up into the sky, kind of seeing the sun coming down, pushing through the mist, kind of squinting my eyes and asking Slane, "Hey, do you see anyone? Is it just us here? How are you doing?" And I'm gonna kind of take the time to see if I could spot my trident if I see it anywhere, but knowing it's probably futile, but still spotting it anyway.
I don't see anybody else. I lost track of Rupert somewhere near the rapids, but we gotta get across this river. But I guess we gotta find everybody else first. Well, all right. I'll keep an eye out. I'm gonna walk along the bank for a while just to see what I can see.
All right, so the two of you are going to explore the banks.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right,
Maybe
then.
we should stay within like shouting distance of each other.
Okay, so why don't you two give me an investigation as you're looking at the banks?
So I have my perception and chat are in the roll, but I'm going to do this one too. There we go.
Okay. Oh, hold on. All right, there we go. Sorry, my Roll20 is lagging. All right, so you're basically, it seems like it's just standard river debris that's come up. There are little bits of broken wood, which you can tell. This is probably from the ship itself, or the barge itself, that has come up. But again, with this fog and this mist, you're not seeing much beyond maybe 20 feet from you in terms of full detail. As it gets further and further out, by 60 feet, you really can't tell what's happening around you at all beyond just this white ball that's happening.
Gotcha. We can always just keep walking down river and see what we see. Keep our eye out, I guess. And I would like for, let's see. Yeah, I'd like for Slain to start attuning himself to the ways of the great grandmother, and it says it's downtime activity that like I can spend a day doing, but I don't know if it means just if we're just walking or traveling, like attuning myself to Baba Yaga's signs and portents. If I can, then I will do that so that I don't have to eat.
So you don't have to eat? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I can choose 3 different things if I spend a day attuning myself to the signs. One of them is I can locate a Vela, which I'm not sure what that is, or a Vila. One of them is I can give people the evil eye. Or rather, I can tell if they're lying to me by giving them an evil eye. And then the other one is I can eat a pound of organic matter and sustain myself for a day. So, like, he'd just grab a handful of grass and start munching on it. Once he's attuned. Yeah, that's what he wants to do because he doesn't know where they are, how long it's going to be, all that kind of stuff.
I'm gonna see Slain getting a handful of grass and shoving it into his mouth, and I'm gonna be like, well, I hope that helps on this run because we got to get to people fast. I don't know if people have drowned. If they did, we need to be able to get them out of it. And so I'm gonna grab him by like his tricep, like behind his tricep, and start picking up at a jogging pace and trying to go into more of a run to see if we can kind of get the pace going to look out for the other people in the party.
Okay, so if Gervain's going to try and pull Slain into a jog, that's not exactly something of a rest. So
we're going to miss the details. I think Slain would be he'd be a little resistant to it, if only because like he knows that if we're gonna find a footprint or some sign that they've made it and maybe gotten up, then we do have to take it slow. He'll be like, hold, slow down a minute. We might ruin our friends' tracks or miss where they came up on shore. Like, you go on ahead if you're anxious, but I'm gonna walk down this way and see if I can't find any tracks. And
all right, you take the lead. I just want to get a step on. That's fine.
No. Yeah, sure. I got you. I understand. All right, let's go. And Slain takes off barefoot down the shore.
okay, so you're heading barefoot down the shore. We're leaving Slain and Gervain moving downriver in hopes to run into their companions, although they're not quite sure where their companions would have washed up either. That brings us over to Aol, Zira, and Maurice. You two find yourself waking up. And Maurice, you find yourself on the shore, but you realize that you can't move. And Zira and Aol, you wake up. You haven't taken on major damage. You're soggy. You may have a couple bumps and bruises, but nothing that's debilitating. As you wake up, what would you like to do on the shore?
Am I right next to her?
You're within line of sight of each other, but you're also, again, surrounded by this misty fog that's taken in the area. And again, the sounds are dampened. You're not really hearing things as clearly as you could have if it weren't such a fog thick day. You have the sunlight breaking through a little bit.
Awel, are you okay?
Yeah, not my favorite way to go swimming.
I wonder how long it's been. I wonder if anybody else is okay.
Hard to tell with the mist.
I
mean,
know they. I know they said that we shouldn't make light, but do you think maybe shooting off a fireball or maybe even lighting something? See if we can find our friends?
Can you shoot off fireballs? Because I can't. I don't know if you
Oh,
noticed.
well, maybe. Do you think I should light a torch or a tree or something? Not a whole tree.
I mean, this is the Margreave, right? If they tell us we shouldn't light stuff, there's a reason. I can see. Are you unable to see?
I can't see.
Okay.
But I think we might be better as a group than just us.
Yeah.
Even if it means taking the chance.
Definitely we want to try and find the others. I can see. So hold on to me, and we'll kind of navigate like that. And I'll tell you if you need to like take a step up or down or watch out for something. And
I can see like directly in front of me, right?
Oh yeah, you have a good 20 feet of vision before things start getting kind of blurry and everything like that. And Maurice is also in the same zone as the two of you, so he'd be hearing you have this conversation as well.
Oh, is he? Are you out though, Maurice?
I don't know how frozen I am, and I'm also like basically a magic robot, so I'm trying to figure out like what could I even do if I can't actually move? Could I even talk? I don't even know. So, and like based on the description of the Gearforge, I'm assuming if I'm locked up, I'm like computer screen frozen. So like awkwardly like mid pose, mid position, locked up in the sand.
You can still communicate. You can also sort of take stock of your situation too.
Okay. So then I would look up. I mean, I basically roll my eyeballs around in their sockets, or the equivalent thereof, I should say. And upon hearing the suggestion to make fire, I would say, well, I don't know about that, but I'd appreciate being pulled out of the sand if that's at all possible. Maybe take a few minutes to dry out.
Hearing that, Zira and Awel, you turn around to take a look at Maurice, and he's in a rather interesting state.
Okay.
For he has been covered in a thick blanket of vines that have trailed out from the forest, as if it is trying to cover him completely and pull it back towards the forest area, as opposed to leaving him on the sandy shore.
Seeing this, I think that's a problem. I'm gonna pull out my dagger and I'm gonna start cutting off vines.
Okay. Zira, what would you do seeing Maurice pretty much encompassed by these vines that have trailed out from the forest edge?
I'm going to do the same thing.
Okay. So you're both going to start hacking at these vines to cut him free. I need you to give me... let's go with...
death saving throws.
Not death saving throws. No. Let's do some strength as you're trying to hack into these. Rather than see the damage, let's just see if you're able to cut through these instead.
16.
All right. So, Zira, you are able to, as you swiftly make work of these vines, you're able to cut away some of the vines around one of Maurice's arms at least. For AOL, you're at least cutting the vines, maybe not clearing out as much of the vines as Zira is able to with her, let's face it, lovely sharp sword. But you can see that the vines are slowly starting to come away. So, Maurice, you're finding as they're cutting things away, you are getting motion back. It seems that what's locked you up is actually these vines that have you encased.
He is kind of stunned, I guess, by that, and would sort of do his best to kind of pull them off. But he would also look at them, trying to see if they seem unnatural or if there's any markings on them, any runes on them, try to understand anything about these vines or why they came from or why they would be doing this.
Okay, so you want to do an investigation on the vines?
Sure. Would it be okay if I did like Arcana to try to see if I could sense if it was like magic, and if so, why?
Mm-hmm. All right, so
17.
these vines are definitely a part of the forest. Everything in the forest has its own little touch of magic to it. So in terms of the exact type of magic, you can sense this is something that is sourced from the forest itself, as it is trying to grasp and grapple at you. You're also reminded of what Mama Rihanna reminded you, that you need to be careful in the forest, because some might call you unnatural.
Maurice is going to be very pensive about this, but he'd like to try to take a piece of the vines and like twist it off into a rough approximation of like maybe not a necklace, but somewhere between a necklace and a lei, and just kind of put it around his neck. He does it kind of very leisurely while he's being unlashed.
Okay.
Not
So
leisurely is the wrong word. Very attentively. He's paying a lot of attention to this.
okay, so basically you're letting Zira and AOL hack you out of these vines, rather
Yes.
than try and struggle with the vines themselves. And you've grabbed onto
I got
a
nothing
piece
sharp.
of this. Okay. All right. So so Zira and AOL, let's do one more round of strength checks and see if you're able to free him completely. You were able to make some decent work. Okay.
10.
All right. So it's probably going to take you a couple more minutes of hacking away, and these vines are thick and they're definitely oddly grown so quickly. But you are able to free Maurice, especially since Maurice seems to almost be resolute to the fact that he's been encompassed. He's not going to fight it. He's not going to fight against the vines and get them to release him. He's allowing you to help him out in this situation. So as this is happening, we're going to phase back over to Slain and Gervain as they are walking down the shore while Zira and AOL are working to free Maurice, and then Maurice is going to make a vine necklace. Yes? All right, so we're back to you two
All right.
as you're walking down the shoreline.
I'm going to try and help scope out if we see any footprints, any broken branches, or any flotsam or anything that's washed up the shore that kind of gives us a general direction of where others may have washed up at.
All right, sure. So let's do, since you're looking at this carefully, let's do an investigation
Okay.
as you're walking along.
Big yikes. That's a 3.
All right, so I have a feeling that it's still early morning, but the sun's intensity is picking up a little bit. It's getting a little bit brighter. You are out in the exposed shoreline area. You're not in the tree line. So the mist is helping filter a little bit, but this sun is starting to burn your eyes a little bit because you haven't really been out in the sun this long, and your eyes may not be so happy about having the sunshine coming along its way. Slain, what are you doing while he's sort of distracted and sort of shielding his eyes from this newfound brightness?
Oh yeah, I'm still continuing to look for any kind of signs of someone else having been washed up and maybe walked off. I'm also looking for signs of maybe something following us out of the river. Anything really, and if yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, so investigation from you as well.
Okay. Let's see. Do I get? This is going to be with plus. That's going to be a 16 because I have because this is a forest and I add my double proficiency for intelligence.
Rangers. Yes, I love that part. So yeah, with the 16, you're actually able to take in a lot more information than Gervain is at this point. You are seeing a little bit more of debris washing up from the barge. There's bits of rope, there's broken bits, and about 15 feet away from you, you see the form of a figure face down on the shoreline.
And I'll do just like he'll give like a bird call or something, to Gervain, or up ahead.
Yeah.
Whatever he thinks is the signage.
Yeah, just do I have like my shield and hand axe on me still or no?
Yeah, you still have everything that you fell off the boat with. Let's put it that way.
All right, so I'm gonna just stay little bit behind me, Slane. I'm gonna come up real slow, and I'll kind of get into a half crouch with my shield and start like maneuvering myself towards the body that's face down, and grab it by its shoulder and try and throw it over to see who it is.
Okay, so as you roll this body over, you hear this sickening sucking sound as this body disengages from the sand. And as it rolls over, you see that it is Uri, and this sucking sound is because his life source, his blood, has basically saturated into the sand itself. And so now there is this deep maroon puddle of blood underneath where his body has been lying this whole time. His eyes are devoid of any life. They are still open. They're staring blankly up into the sky. You can see there's this massive gash along his torso where an injury must have occurred somehow along the way from being pulled into these rapids and stream of the river. And the body is very cold and limp and almost this dullish gray color as a result of having very little to any blood left in its system whatsoever. And the jaw is slacked open, the tongue is lulled to one side, and you can see that the sand has actually caked itself into the mouth of this corpse from the impact of being washed up upon the shoreline.
Uri, is two things as we're staring down at poor Uri. Was this like a branch or something, a snag underwater that tore him open, or was this a monster? Can we tell?
It's
and
very.
Does he have any weapons?
Okay, fair questions. From the look of this wound, it's very jagged, and it's not like a slicing action. It's more like a tearing factor. So chances are he may have been caught on one of the rapids in the rocks type of situation and was just basically bludgeoned open to death type of situation. If you want to search him, you will find just a basic dagger on him, as well as a short sword.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I just have a knife. So, you need one of either of these, Shervain?
I mean, I would like the sword, but it seems like you're lacking there, so I have this hand axe. Maybe I'll take the dagger so I have something else to throw, should I need it. And as we're communicating this and passing weapons to each other, I'm going to get my two fingers and close his eyelids and see if there's any like wood or flotsam around me, and place it vertically into the sand, so to let us know like, hey, we've seen this already if we have to circle back or anything. It's a feature we've explored. So
all right, so as you are paying respects to this deceased person you once not even knew that well but interacted with, how is Gervain doing with the blood that's in front of him and this gore that he's seeing?
Yeah, that's interesting. It's kicking back a lot of memories for him. And it looks like he's kind of just he has a 1,000-mile stare as he like kind of looks at the mouth lolling over the blood that's onto the sand, mixing with the sand. And it looks like Gervain kind of sticks his hand, like 3 fingers into the sand where the blood is, and kind of like looks at it and feels it, smells it, and then kind of just gets lost a little bit, and then continues on to what he was doing with Slane.
Okay, so you've searched the body. You've sort of paid your respects as best you could, considering the situation. Marked that, yes, there's something there. And you found a couple of extra weapons, at least, to put to use after the battle you just had that night. And we'll freeze you at this point as we move back over to our... Oh, sorry, Slane, go ahead.
Did he have any like personal effects that would that his family might want as we were searching him and checking his wounds and all that? No,
it seems like most of what he had on him was utilitarian. There wasn't anything that marked significance or a memento or anything like that. It was just a basic jerkin, basic pants, belt with a dagger and a sword, and some boots.
Oh, I bet his feet are too small. And he will check the boots, but I can't take a dead man's boots. And he will take a dead man's sword and continue on down the shoreline.
Okay, so we'll have you both continue on to see if you can find any evidence of anyone else then as we phase back over to Maurice, Zira, and Aowel. Maurice, you have been freed. Thank you to the efforts of your party members. What would you three like to do now?
All right, time to get up,
soon-
big guy.
He would immediately kind of kneel and offer both of them a bow. Thank you kindly for your help, ladies. I don't know how long I would have been stuck in there without you. But this, and he kind of is going to like hold up the necklace. Well, tell you the truth, I recognize an omen when I see one. I just can't say for sure if this is a good one or a bad one. But sure is an omen. He's going to kind of drape it around his neck, but he's doing it very cautiously, like almost like he's afraid, almost like he's doing it like an offering, like a religious rite. This symbolic placing of the necklace.
Can I?
You go. You go.
No, you can go ahead.
No, you go.
Can
alphabetical
I? And
order.
I know.
Oh, you go ahead. Zira, go ahead.
That's all right.
That's
I know that there's a sound barrier, but could I like try to find the biggest rock I could find and like try to throw it in the water to maybe get somebody's attention? I don't know if it would work or not.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, if you want to find a big rock, how big are you talking? Are we looking at a 5-pounder, 10-pounder?
A pretty good, like, I'd have to like heave ho to lift it up and throw it into the water. I'm hoping maybe it'll crash against other rocks and stuff too.
Okay. So there are all sorts of rocks along the shoreline, so I'm sure you can find the type of rock you wanted. Let's have it where you can try and do a athletics to toss it into the water with some oomph behind it.
13.
Anything over 12? Great. So with a 13, you're able to heft this stone into the water and get a little air on it, and it will fall into the water with this loud as it makes contact. And it does have a slight reverberation along the area where you're standing. Whether or not that's reached the others, you're not quite sure yet, or anyone else who might be along the shoreline. So you see Zira doing this, Maurice and Aowel. What about the two of you?
Okay, Zira. I'm not sure that was the smartest of things when they said we don't really want sound. That was definitely sound. We should probably be whispering, actually.
Well, there's certainly sense to be had for being cautious, but I don't know that I see the point in being terrified of potentially nothing. We should certainly try to keep light to a minimum, but there are 2 of us missing out there, maybe actually 3 of us if I think about it. And frankly, I'm a little bit concerned. That was a bit of a crash there. And I only say that from my point of view from under the waters. I can only imagine what it was like for you lot. It may be dangerous, but I think it's the right thing to do to try to do whatever we can to find our friends.
I don't know if you're able to feel cold or if cold just affects you sometimes, but it was shocking. Do you have any sense of direction here? How far are we from... I don't remember what happened, honestly.
Well, the only thing my sense of direction around here is good for us to tell you that we're pretty far away from the Dragon Empire. But that being said, and then he'd like to kind of check himself over to see if he's still got the compass.
He does still have the compass.
Then yeah, he would pull it out and try to hold it in front of him. And I guess maybe looking at the compass and then seeing it in front of him and seeing the vine, maybe he'd try to think about a way to fashion it to the vine.
Well,
Maybe
as you're
into a
looking
sort
at
of pendant.
Sure, you could definitely do that. But as you're looking at this compass, you're going to notice something about it. It's taken on water, and a good amount of it. And this water floating underneath the glass surface is causing this arrow to sort of just bob along so that even though you try to turn in different directions, it doesn't function like it did before. So it's almost as if this dip in the water has somehow disengaged its ability to help you figure out direction.
Well, that's less than ideal. Can I take a look at it to try to see if there's a way to disassemble it without breaking it? Or he's going to assume that it has some similar principles to him, and as such, there might be some kind of access hatch or something that he can open up and maybe drain the liquid out.
All right, sure. You can look it over, and being that you're mechanical yourself, it has the ability to sort of unscrew lid to base type of situation. Okay. So if you want to try and give it some time and try and work out getting this compass fixed, I will absolutely allow you to try and fiddle with it if you'd like.
For sure. And he would be kind of very meticulous about it, trying to take in as many details about the compass and its construction as possible while disassembling it.
Okay. So while Maurice is doing this, Ael and Zira, I'd like you to give me a perception check, please. 8. Okay, so Zira, you're watching Maurice almost fascinated because you haven't seen this type of thing really being done before, where someone's going to take the time to try and fix a compass. So you're interested in seeing how he's going to do this. For Ael, though, you will hear almost a slight rustling sound along the tree line, which you can just see beyond the cat. Sorry, beyond the fog. That, again, it's starting to dissipate a little bit as the sun is coming out a little bit more. So you have the sun coming down, breaking up the fog a little bit, and you just hear this sound coming off at the edge of the forest line. But the other two do not hear this.
I'm gonna go ahead and draw my bow and keep an eye on what's going on at the forest line. I'm also gonna take a quick look around, see if there's any spot that's a little bit shadier without going into the forest.
There is some shade that's being cast from the angle of the trees and everything like that, so you can get a little bit of shade, but it is going to involve you getting within 10 feet of the forest line itself. Otherwise, you're standing out in the open, exposed area of the river.
I will go ahead and take the risk of getting closer to the forest in order to not deal with sun issues.
Okay, so you start walking towards this forest line. And as you do, you hear this voice say from this brush where you heard the sound, "One more step, cutie, and you're going to regret it." And I'm going to leave you there as we go back over to Slain and Gervain. So for the two of you, you're making your way downriver. And as you're walking, you hear further down in front of you this sound.
Like a fishing line?
Sounds like something got in the water. Something broke the water's surface with a splash, and you hear the boom of it sinking down as it makes impact.
Slain, can we move now? Can we go towards that? It's the only sign that we've had of anyone since we've been walking.
Yeah, sure, let's go.
Let's jog over. And so I'm gonna start, going into a jog to go towards the sound of that.
All right, so you both.
I'll follow behind, maybe not as quickly because I think I don't want to be too hasty.
Okay. So Gervain, you're sort of like you're the come on, let's go. You're taking the lead. Slain, you're falling back, and as you're heading towards the direction, or heading towards the sound that you heard down the shoreline, you'll find yourselves going along the shoreline, and then you're going to see these figures in the mist along the shoreline as well, and you see 2 figures sitting more at the edge of the shoreline, and you see another one closer to the forest edge, but you can't tell who they are quite yet. What would you like to do?
I'm going to slow down and wait for Slain to catch up and go into a crouch with my shield and beckon Slain over.
Yeah. What's up?
You see those? I think we've ran into someone finally. I don't know who they are. This mist is too thick for me to look through.
Yeah.
What do you think we should do? Should we go in slowly and figure this out, or?
Yeah, I mean, going slowly, that's probably the best idea. I mean, I feel like if it was goblins or something, we'd hear them, maybe, but, let's go in slow. Yeah.
All right.
You got the shot behind you.
Yep. So, I'm gonna start making my way slowly with the shield up, towards whatever, these figures are.
Okay, so since you're both trying to move quietly, let's get some stealth checks going.
Okay. Hey.
Oh, hey, there you go. Well, I think between being barefoot in the sand and being focused on the fact you don't want to be caught, you are able to quietly get closer and closer towards these forms. At this point, you're only about 30 feet away, and the mist is starting to dissipate more, and you start seeing the familiar figure of Maurice, and he seems to be stooped over something and twisting and turning around, and you see that Zero is watching him with some interest. But AOL is standing further away from you with her back towards you, arrow pulled, aiming towards the forest line.
They don't see us, clearly.
They haven't seen you yet, no.
Can we see
I'm gonna try. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say if we could see what AOL's pointing at, or if it's just like bushes.
It's just bushes and stuff. You can't see what she's pointing at, but you can see she's got herself ready for something. Though you're not sure what.
That's Jermaine.
I'm gonna try and, I guess, you know how you try and whisper but yell at the same time. It's not very effective, but I'm gonna try and get at least within like soft earshot of Zira. Zira, what are you guys doing? What's going on? What's you all doing? And I'll try and like whisper it to see if she hears me, so that we don't really break up our stealth of what we're doing, but also try and alert Zira, or try and let her know that we're coming towards them.
Do I hear it?
Yeah, at this point you would hear him.
God, you scared me. We're fixing the compass.
Yeah, what's Ewell doing?
I don't know. I don't even. Oh. Eel.
I guess I'm gonna start heading towards Ewell. She doesn't know what's going on with Ewell, so I'm gonna start moving away from Zira and Maurice, and start making my way towards Ewell.
All right.
I'm going to go with him too.
Okay, so it's a party now. So again, in this, are you trying to be quiet, or are you just more walking up to check things out?
I think I would have been more relaxed now that I see the group.
Okay.
Kind of let my guard down and just kind of calmly head towards Ewell.
Okay. Zero, same thing?
Same thing, yeah.
All right, so as the two of you approach AOL, do you react to this at all, AOL, or what would you be doing at this point?
I'd let them know. We're not alone.
We're sort of here.
I was told not to take another step, so I haven't.
I'm telling you. I swear to God, you think this is like a vacation or something. You bennies come out here and you make a mess of my freaking shore, and I just got this place cleaned up, and you hear this voice just chattering on, and you can hear it's disgusted. And the first thing you're going to notice is this little black snout poking out from the bushes about 3 feet up or so. And then as this face emerges, it's this long, narrow snout, again, to this little black button of a nose with these beady black eyes and this shock on top of its head of quills pointing back. And this creature keeps smoothing them back, and it's looking rather agitated, and it's looking at each of you, and it's like, I'm telling you what the cat dragged in last night. I just got this all organized and picked up, and what are you doing here anyways? And he's got a little dagger in his hand, and he's pointing it at each and every one of you with these glaring little beady eyes. And as intimidating as he's trying to look, there is a little bit of a cute factor to him because basically you're looking at a humanoid hedgehog.
Whoa. Hey, put that down before you hurt yourself, okay? Is this your place? Is this your territory? Is there more of you? What else did the cat drag in last night?
Yeah.
There was, first of all, yes, this is my place. Second of all, I know damn well how to use this. I don't know about you so much, but this is my knife and I like it. There was this little creature, showed up on the shore a little while ago, and he got collected, I think. And then just small and tail and
Shrek. Yeah, we haven't
Shrug?
found him yet.
Shreg. Oh,
Shrek.
friend of
Yeah,
yours?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Who
Frank,
picked-
yeah.
Who picked him up? What picked Shreg up? What did it look like?
Looked like a couple of the villages a little bit further down the riverway. They took some interest in seeing this little, bundle of unconscious, I don't know.
Where are we, Mr. Or Mrs.? I don't recognize your name.
You'll see him put a hand on the hip, and he's just starting to flip the dagger, disgusted. That's an interesting one. Okay, that's a new one. Mr. Anton is my name.
Shrek.
I'd say pleasure to make your acquaintance, but it's still up for debate. What is your name?
My name's Slain. That's my real name.
And
Okay,
I'm
so
Gervain.
Shreg oh, Jesus. Okay, so a Shreg, a Slain, a Gervain. What about the rest of this motley crew over here? You're muted.
Zero's muted.
Expressive muted.
I'm going to, as I'm like checking behind him in the trees to make sure like he's not telling us somebody's back there, else is back there. I'm Zara.
Zero. Okay. Well, what about this? Honey, could you put that down? I'm not going to hurt you if you don't hurt me.
Ael's gonna put the bow down. Well, I just wanted out of the sun.
Well, I mean, you've got the forest right there.
That's right.
I don't know the forest well enough to be running around in there.
You telling me you're new to the place?
Well, ideally, I would have stayed on the barge, but the barge fell apart.
Well, now we're getting a story. What about that? And he's gonna narrow his eyes. That thing over there. Is that your servanty thing? What is that?
Hey,
Meanwhile,
Maurice.
Maurice is like doing this with the compass, like slowly like turning it in front of his face, wholly engrossed by what he's doing.
Maurice, get over here. Introduce yourself. Quit playing with that thing.
To be clear, no, he is not a servant.
No.
I still don't even know what he is, to be honest.
None of us do.
He's a middleman. I'm good with that.
Middleman.
Sure.
Well, hey. Okay, well, I guess you learn something new every day.
If you're looking for a term for me, I'm not opposed to free thinker, and he'll kind of attach the compass onto the necklace and then make his way over.
A free thinker.
Wait,
That's
Maurice,
right.
do you want us to call you Free Thinker now? Is that haha free tinker? Just kidding.
You can call me whatever you like, whatever is easiest for you.
Which way was that village that you said Shrek take to? If you don't mind, Mr. Anton.
Well, it's not that much further down the river, but I hate to break it to you. They came over in one of their boats.
Oh, the other side, yeah.
Yeah, they pulled up to the shoreline. They collected the little bundle. I mean, they kind of got to it first before I could, but from what I could tell, they seemed encouraged. It didn't seem like picked up something dead, because normally they toss that in the back of the boat and then, cover it up. In this case, one stayed with what they picked up and the other one kept the boat going.
Anton,
yeah.
do these villagers look like you? Do they look like something different? What is the village about? Do they have some sort of ritual? Do they have some sort of tribal ways that mark them as different? What can you tell us about these villagers?
They're not my people. No, they're definitely not my people. They are more kind of like your flavoring-ish, I suppose. I tend to kind of keep to myself. I don't really go over and hang out with them so much. But rituals, bizarre rituals. I mean, there's just this thing where they leave their babies outside at night, overnight, one time to get blessed by the waters. But everyone's got their quirks.
Okay, so they're just like normal village folk.
Yeah, normal village folk stuff. Leave sleeping time as a baby all the time. Is there a safe place to cross anywhere near here? Like
You want passage?
Like the river, yeah, the river. I make it through the forest, but the river's typically.
Man, you guys are really fresh for being out here, aren't you?
Yeah, sure. Well, we got hired. We had guides, but we lost them, I guess. So,
Wait, hold on. And he starts like rubbing his temples. He goes, "Okay, so you never been here before. You've been hired.
Not this part. No.
Who hired you? I mean, who would hire someone who doesn't know Margreave? This is like, okay. Hold on just a minute.
What's his name? Vaznetsky.
Riorik.
Vaznetsky. Know them?
Okay, the family Wisniewski. Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
Oh,
they got a reputation. You said it was Riorik that hired you, though.
No, Rurik's not anywhere near us. Rurik. No, he said to visit and ask about his brother, Nikolai.
Okay. Well, he's gonna sign. He's gonna stick his dagger back in its sheath, and he's like brushing off his hands. All right. God, you're a bunch of wee lambs in the woods at this point. Good grief. Listen, I am more than happy to offer you my services as a guide through this area. But let's just clear up a few things first, because, as much as I pride myself on being able to maneuver this area without much notice, let's just say I don't want to get the attention of the more undesirable types that can sometimes find themselves here.
If you know what I'm talking about. I don't know. Who's undesirable?
Well, it's quite debatable that the family Wisniewski isn't exactly the most appreciated family in the area at the moment.
We don't know. We're new from around here, so we don't really know who he is. Like, what's reputation then? Because he seemed like a stand-up guy. Came highly recommended by people that we've known for like an hour longer than him. So,
because that's a sound way of making decisions.
I'm just that's not really judgmental. Mr.
I mean, you just made yourself for hire, Anton. So who's judging who now?
Well, I mean, come on, we gotta make a living somehow.
Right.
Technically speaking, we knew him for several hours longer than you've known us. So really, when you point your fingers at somebody, remember you got 3 pointing right back at yourself, Mr. Anton.
You guys are convinced not to guide us.
No, he's good.
He's gonna turn to Zero like, you, and because you're similar heights, you are one I might be able to have a rational conversation with.
Zira's really smart.
I appreciate that you are willing to take us. And I'm gonna evil eye the three of them, very clearly look up at them and just.
Can I help you?
I think we need to be a little bit more cordial to the people who can help us in this forest.
I suppose I'm in agreement.
Yeah, you're
all right, Mr. Anton. I can only assume there's some sort of charge or fee or mandatory gratuity attached to your services?
Well, I mean, fee payment. Maybe let's tell you what. If I can help you out, and you promise to stay the hell away from my shore, we'll call it even. How's that work for you?
Sounds great. Sounds great.
Deal.
All right. Have you? Don't suppose you've had any food as of late. It looks like you all got a little bumped around last night. And to prove myself as a beacon of hospitality, I'd be more than happy to get a little breaking of the fast meal pulled together for you. It's, kind of my way of, let's break bread and make a thing of this agreement.
I mean, yeah, that sounds great. And I think we could probably use it. It is okay to make a campfire around your property because it'd be nice to get a little dry. We're soaking right now.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. I'd set up a nice little bonfire, give you some time to kind of dry off and relax a little
Perfect.
bit. And
Perfect. Yeah.
all right, wonderful. Let's get this going. And he'll kind of like walk past you, and he's this little pint-sized figure, and he's got this thing where he's constantly trying to slick his quills back on top of his head, and he starts going around. He's picking up some dried wood and everything like that. He is making a point to make sure whatever wood he's getting is dry and dead. He's not cutting anything nearby or anything like that. And he goes over to just to the center area of the shoreline, and he gets things set up, and he kind of makes quick work of making this little bonfire for you. And again, he'll just kind of brush his hands off, and they look more like little paws on his pants. And okay, so you sit and warm up. I will be right back with something to help fill those stomachs of yours too. And he'll kind of quickly go back into the forest where he had originally had come out when he was first scouted out by Eowel. And that leaves the 5 of you sitting around this bonfire now.
I
Can I
have
follow
2
him?
questions.
Okay. Maurice? Two questions.
Were we unconscious long enough for it to be considered a long rest?
That is a good question. Math-wise, not quite yet. It was more about 5 hours at a time.
Second, because it's a cantrip, can I cast Word of Radiance at like 1/4 speed? So I'm just like gently radiating warmth for my waterlogged freshy friends?
Because I love the flavor of this, that you want to turn yourself into a little furnace, sure.
Sweet. So then, like the same like gears and mechanisms that are like normally hyper spinning are just kind of like gently like, and he's like glowing a little bit reddish orangish around the middle.
You've just become a potbelly stove.
I might have, yeah.
He's like the thing at restaurants, the little like heat lamp that just like comes down at you.
That's exactly it. Come sit next to me, my little French fry friends. Let's warm up here.
Now it's a fancy venue. They have outdoor heating.
Yeah.
Okay.
Slane's just going to investigate the shore and see if he can't make out who might have been here earlier.
Okay.
Look for tracks mostly.
Okay.
We should probably do an assessment of our goods and everything. See what all we've got left after that lovely dip in the river there.
Yeah, I think, and one thing, I'm happy we all got back together other than Shrek. We need to find him. And are you guys fine? Any bumps or bruises? Anything weird like that?
Just really
Can't feel my legs. And I'm just gonna like tap on them twice. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, let's lay out what we have. Just one person at a time in case we have to like pick up and go really fast. Lay out if you have everything, and let's check that stuff out.
Sounds good.
Can I follow Anton? It was what was his name again?
Anton. Yeah, you can.
Anton?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I want to sneak after him just to make sure he's not going to get like somebody else to turn us in for a bigger prize or something like that.
Okay, then you need to give me a stealth check. He's going to do a perception. Window in the way.
Oh, so a lot of 4.
So as you're trying to trot behind Anton, he's just gonna say over his shoulder, "If you want to come and keep me company, I'm more fine with you doing that than you trying to sneak up behind me, Toots."
Oh, I was just coming out here to use the bathroom forest. I wasn't sneaking.
He's kind of gonna get a little wry grin on his face. Oh, sneaking is kind of my business, so yeah, bathroom.
Oh.
Okay, sure.
Okay, maybe I was sneaking, but where are you going?
I'm literally just gonna go and grab some of the fruits that are growing over here and bring them back for you and your friends. You looked a little hungry, a little bit ragged from your evening.
Oh, well, I'll help you then.
Sure. The more the merrier, and let's face it, sometimes it's hard to reach things, am I right?
Yeah, I get that.
All right. I mean, out of all of them, you seem to be the most reasonable, at least so far.
I am.
All right. Very cool. Here, if you come over with me, there's some apples over here that I was actually about to collect for later on, but I think they're a little bit more important right now, and we'll go from there. And he'll sort of like wave his arms, not in front of him, but kind of like, just come and walk beside him type of thing. And he'll take you over to where there's this apple tree. And he has been collecting the apples that have kind of more fallen to the ground. So they're softer and a little bit bruised. And there's still some apples sort of hanging from the top. But you can see he's very much more focused on making sure to pick up what's been on the ground first and using what's usable before trying to get anywhere near the tree itself.
I could shake the tree. We could get some fresh apples.
I tend to be more of the take what the forest gives you than take from the forest itself type of approach.
There were some vines coming out of the forest earlier, and they got our free thinker. Is everybody? Is all the forest like that? Are they? Is it?
I'm telling you, these bennies. Okay, little life lesson. The forest is the forest. It's going to do what it wants to do half the time, and sometimes it does things that I don't even think others realize it's going to do. So yeah, you're lucky that it was just the vines coming out to get your unusual companion. I've never seen anything like him before.
How do you stay safe in the forest? How have you lived here so long?
You respect it. You take care of it. Well, yeah. Makes life very easy. You respect your surroundings. You pick up after yourself. You make sure that you don't take more than what you actually need, and that type of situation. And quiet, simple life. And usually it's okay. Although quiet and simple does not quite seem to be the norm of your little crew.
No.
No.
I'm gonna pat the tree and good tree.
Do persuasion.
19.
Oh.
It was actually, I think, 20, but I have a -1.
Oh, geez. So you go to pat this tree, and you say good tree, and suddenly a few fresh apples sort of drop off a few of the branches near your feet. And Anton's going to look at you with a little raised eyebrow.
All right, I think we have enough.
I think you're learning. That very impressive. All right, let's go. Come on, we'll collect this and we'll bring it back to your friends. And I got a little something else we can add to the mix, and I think you'll be good. and he'll lead you back out towards the edge of the forest where the others have been sitting. And as he leads you back out, he'll just make a quick work of the apples, and he has like this little kit on his back from his backpack, and he's got these apples cooking up over the fire. He's taking a little of the river water, and they're cooking down, so it's almost like this applesauce-like thing. In a different pan, he's actually pulled out some eggs, and so he's got some eggs cooking up for you. So you've got this little mishmash deal of basic eggs and some cooked down apples that he'll share with you. And he'll basically just explain to you that this is sort of his place where he likes to hang out and live. He has been known to wander back and forth across the river to interact with the village across the way. He does fill you on the fact that they are just basically a village where there are other people there, and they seem concerned about the fact that as they were coming up the river, they saw this form on the river's edge, and they were concerned that it was a child initially when they first came. When they found that it was a kobold, they were a little less concerned, but they were definitely more inclined to make sure that the form was okay and took it back with them for possibly medical attention type of thing. But he's not two-faced about it. He says, I can get you there, probably later this afternoon if needed, and see if we can find out more about this friend of yours, that the shrug, right? The shrug? Isn't that the name? Shreg.
Yeah.
Right. So we can try and find out what's happening with your buddy Shreg. Anyone else that you need to be concerned about at this point?
We were traveling with the Vaznetskis, but I don't know where they're at. So I guess we eventually got to talk to them if you know where they live.
Right. Fresh. The Nico Rjurik. Which one? Was the one?
Rjurik was the one that we talked to.
Okay,
the one that you didn't like. They said
No. It's the Nick one you got to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. This we can work with. Okay. Yeah. So, goal number 1, get you back to your buddy. Goal number 2, see if we can get you to connect back up with Rjurik. I think that's something we can handle. And he'll just start sort of cleaning things up a little bit. And as he's putting stuff away, I'd like you all to please give me a perception check. Okay, so who am I missing here? Okay, so for Zira and Aol, the two of you I think are probably more concerned with helping out Anton, just sort of gather things together and get ready for moving on. In terms of the other 3, you actually start to hear some sound coming from the direction in which Slane and Gervain had come down the shoreline. And it almost sounds like some awkward steps is the best way to describe it.
Slane's going to turn back around and keep an eye. He wasn't. We weren't trying to conceal our steps, but it could be anything. All right, or maybe it's Rupert. Maybe he followed us.
Okay. So you let the others know that you're hearing someone coming from the.
Yeah, and Slane will actually go start walking in that direction to meet or greet whoever's following.
Okay. So
Maurice will follow with his mace out, and he's gonna keep that whirring going. He's actually gonna ready the sacred flame in case he sees that the thing that's coming towards them is hostile. And as he does that, like the whirring is gonna kick up a little bit. And he's gonna say, "Well, friend, maybe you should let me go in the front just in case. As a man of God, I gotta tell you, there's not a huge difference between walking awkwardly and shambling on account of being undead."
That doesn't frighten me. There's all drowners and soggy dead. That's fine. They're usually just squishy meat. But it could be Rupert. He could be hurt. So we'll see. But good to have you.
I like your bravery.
He'll keep pace with Maurice. He's not stupid.
Okay. Did you let the other 2 know that you're going to be walking away from them or leaving them with Anton?
Yeah. I let everybody know that I heard it. I'd go check out with them. Yeah.
Okay. And Gervain, you're going along with them?
No, I'm gonna stay with the the rest of the party that's there. I'm gonna let those two go just in case something happens, and they're investigating it. So I'm good where I'm at.
All right, sure. So as the two of you walk up to the shoreline, you will see, again, the mist is kind of pulled back even further as the sun has been out even longer, and it's burning it off. But stepping out from the edges of what's left of the mist in the distance, Slain, you're going to see the familiar figure of Uri walking towards the two of you.
Oh, yeah. All right. Maurice, you're right. That's... Uri, don't... Oh, man. Jeez. All right. Okay.
And as he's walking toward you, it's almost as if, again, the eyes are lifeless, but this time they're looking at the two of you. The mouth is not lulled open with the tongue hanging out, but it is breathing through its mouth. And the way it's walking, it almost seems as if it's not even used to being on two legs, because as it walks, the arms almost want to move along too, as if they too were walking along the ground. And it's this swarm of Uri is coming towards you, especially now that it has made contact with you eyesight-wise.
How far away is it from us?
About 30 feet.
Can I just shoot off that ready sacred flame? He's going to see that and assume that it's about to be a bad time for anybody who's got meat for skin. And,
Okay. Go ahead.
that's a
So
dexterity save on that creepy zombie guy.
Zombie dex save. Hold on. Where did it go? There it is. Sorry. Hiding behind another window. He's not very dexterous. Got a 13 though.
Ooh. Let's do some more D8 damage. Whoa,
Woohoo.
max damage. That is going to be a big ol' 8. So that fire is just going to...
Sweet. So you let this go and you hit your mark, and it's almost like one of the shoulders kind of gets knocked back a little bit as it lodges. It doesn't look like it's exactly in the best shape per se, because, you've just hit it, but it's still walking toward you.
Yep, that's the undead, all right. And then Maurice is going to get the sword or the mace and shield ready to go and see what Slain does.
Okay.
Yeah, Slane's got his weapon strong. And, I'll wait for it to come to us. I'm not, too eager to go charging in, but
Okay.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
You're ready. Let's do it. Are you going to notify the others that something is now walking to you that is, the former form of the fellow Uri?
I think maybe yelling out after Maurice casts his Sacred Flame is a good idea. We got company. Like a drowned dead. Something. Uri's back.
Do they know Uri was gone in the first place? So we're hearing Slain say Uri's back, Zira, Aol, and Maurice. What do you think about hearing that? Or Maurice, no, you're already up there. Gervain, you hear this too.
I pick up my stuff and start running towards them.
Well, you said he's back, right? So there's an any indicator to those of us who haven't seen him that he's dead. So it's like, oh, good.
As I walk towards them, I'm going to be like, he was dead before. He shouldn't be alive now. Let's head over. And I'm just going to...
Oh. Then again, never mind. Not so good.
I'm just going to follow along.
Okay, so, and you're going to see Anton going like, excuse me, wait a minute, hold on. Forget it. And he's going to go back to cleaning and kind of like turn his back towards wherever the three of you are now running off to.
Aol never said anything about running off.
Okay, so Aol, you're staying with Anton?
I think they just indicated that a dead person is walking. I'm good.
So we have the nope octopus in our midst. Zero, you're going along with Gervain? Oh yeah. Okay, let's get initiative going at this point since you're all heading off to see what's going on here.
I'm rolling really well tonight.
I was gonna say, Jervain, okay, Maurice, you are going to wait. Oh wait, I've got to do ugly dead dude. One moment, please.
Good.
Okay, so then it is going to be Maurice. You start us off. Then we have Slain, Zira, Uri, and Jervain.
So it's still obviously just the 30 feet away, and it's like body morphing or something equally hideous and terrible.
It's not something it seems like the body doesn't know how to make itself work.
Yeah. I'm just picturing like Vincent D'Onofrio and Men in Black, and it's just like...
yes. That kind
perfect.
of a
Okay.
flavor to it, yeah.
Yep, that's the kind of thing that Maurice wants to put down with a vengeance. So he is just immediately going to Sacred Flame it again.
Okay. And that's the dex again?
Yep.
8.
Perfect. See, that big damage is going to be a 1, though, because I said that. 3. I'll take it.
Something.
So, yeah, at this point, I guess because he's fired a couple in a row, he'd look like some of his components are starting to glow a little bit more. So he's also kind of like steaming at this point, like off-gassing, as another bolt of holy napalm shoots up and launches into that thing. And that'll be his turn.
Okay, awesome. So then let's take it to Slain. What would you like to do, seeing this awkwardly shambling form of Uri ? Coming towards you?
All right. So Slain is going to move to attack, and he's got his short sword in one hand, hunting knife in the other, and yeah, let's see if this works out. Maybe not so much with my first attack. That's a 10 to hit.
Okay, and that actually will hit.
Oh, nice. All right, I'll take that. And there's damage for that. And then for the dagger is 11 to hit with the dagger. And
That'll also hit.
that's actually going to be 4 damage instead of I don't get the stat mod for my offhand. So it's just 4 for the dagger.
So it's a
6.
4. Okay. So you've managed to do some damage, and this creature is going to look at you. And again, the eyes, it's not so much the lifeless, but you can tell that whatever life is in there is not human. It wasn't what Uri's expression would have been. And the front hands are almost trying to claw at you, but not like human, like tearing and pulling away, but like this, almost like a digging like fashion towards you, as you have done some serious damage to it. That brings us to Zira.
I don't want to attack it. I want to look further down the beach to see if I can see what might have caused this to him, or if it was like a thing that caused it, or the forest, or anything like that.
Okay. You can do a quick perception since you're in the middle of combat.
14.
That's persuasion. That's persuasion.
Oh, persuasion.
Perception. There we go.
7.
You really can't pick up anything that'd be an obvious indicator of what's going on here, or why this once declared dead. And, looking at the stomach area, you can see that there is all this dried blood on front of his jerkin, and there's an opening ripped open. It's not that you can necessarily see what Slain and Jervain had seen before, but you can tell that, yes, at one point this body has been injured. So that's about all you can tell with what's going on here with your quick look around. Do you want to do anything about it, or are you going to hold back?
I'll just hold back for now.
Okay. So then this creature is going to, Slain, since you've come up upon it, it's going to try and basically like slam against you and get you to disengage and release from it.
Okay.
Does a 12 hit?
AC 16.
Okay, so it has been weakened enough where it's almost like, again, it's like this odd clawing action, and it's the two together, but it's just not making any purchase on the front, on your front, I should say. And that is about all it can do, so that leads us to Jervain.
All right, so I run up, catch up to the rest of the folks, and then I assess Uri, and it immediately like people looking at Gervain. You'll see me pause for a second after assessing and kind of close my eyes, seeming to kind of like center myself or steady myself, take a couple of breaths, and then you see me going towards the Yuri, and I will grab my hand axe and I'm going to start trying to bash open its mouth with my hand axe. Gervain fighting things like this before, undead type things, try and figure out weak spots to lessen the harm done to himself or his party members. He's going to try and aggressively, it seems like, bash in the Yuri's mouth.
Okay. Well, let's see what happens with this then. You hit.
That's 11. All right.
You hit.
Sweet. So that's going to be 4 slashing.
Okay.
And yeah, with my shield, I'm just basically going to be like trying to stop his like his petty hands and trying to like essentially just like bash open his teeth as I'm going for it.
Okay. So the rest of you, you're going to see Gervain going after this creature, which has clearly already been weakened by the attacks made by Maurice and Slain. And it's almost on the borderline of brutal and over the top. And you see that Gervain has this rather intense look in his eyes as he's going for it. But his axe blow lands true, and it actually disengages the jaw completely to the point where it's almost the head has been chopped clearly in half, and it's just kind of left a little bit dangling off of the scalp. And this body collapses down onto the ground in front of Slain and Gervain.
I think, I don't think he's dead yet, Gervain. You have a hole in its gut into it, then you think his head is... Slane's just going to talk regardless of how Gervain is feeling. He doesn't even...
I might have a solution for that. And then Maurice would like windmill his arm around, like just moving it completely in the socket to just and presumably try to make the head into a puddle.
Into a puddle?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, basically, you've obliterated the top portion of this creature's head. It's lying there lifeless, and you're actually going to hear Anton running up behind you all. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Undead, right? Not living.
Oh, yeah. It's a river that did it.
Did you know? And he's going to kind of like trying to swallow the bile that must be rising up in his throat because he's just taking a very close look, and he's lower to the ground. So he's getting a more up close and personal view. Pardon me, and he'll turn his back. Did you know this individual in life?
Yeah.
For about a couple hours, yeah.
Half a day.
Sure.
Okay. Anything unusual about him now besides being dead and walking?
Let's take a look. And I mean, are we looking? What are we looking for? Unusual.
Well, like anything seem out of the norm for what they were like beforehand. Behavior.
They sucked at staying on a boat.
He couldn't stay on a boat. He couldn't like use his hands. Seemed like he was an animal. But I've only ever seen one other zombie once.
You said it was acting like an animal?
I guess, yeah, something like an animal. Seemed like.
Yeah, okay, yeah, set it on fire. We gotta set this he's actually gonna start like trying to tug it towards the bonfire area. We gotta put this on fire. This you can't leave it like this. If you leave it like this is not good. We have to make sure that it's gone.
I'm gonna grab some ropes and tie it around the Yuri, and it almost looks like, for me, like I'm kind of in a 1,000-yard stare and like grabbing the body and dragging it, and it looks like I'm just trying to take out the trash, but with like way too much intensity, and I'm just dragging it through the sand and trying to get it over to the bonfire, essentially.
Okay, man on a mission. This is the initiative I can work with, and he'll kind of help you out with getting it up and over to the body, and he'll actually push it up against to that bonfire area, and he kind of takes like this long stick in the air and he starts like knocking the embers and stuff on top of this to essentially set this body on fire, which it will eventually take, and it turns into this extended bonfire. And he kind of takes this deep breath. He goes, I have a feeling we're going to be having a couple lessons about the Margreave on our little excursion this afternoon.
Oh, yeah. That sounds great.
Listen, when you come across a dead body in the forest, you got to make sure that body's actually dead, because it's sort of considered vacant property.
A nail almond?
Oh, yeah. Like a hermit crab shell.
Yeah, kinda. He'll point to Slain, and he'll hear Ullman's like, not an omen. This is something that actually happens. Sometimes something that's left empty, other things decide to take up residence, and in this case, kind of put it to use a little bit longer than it ought to be.
That's why you shouldn't drink during the full moon as well. Because that's your spirit leave your body at night, and then something will come in and get it.
So you folks have this problem down here too?
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty much a ubiquitous issue across the lands, from what I'm hearing. It's not exactly most unique, but the fact you said it was animal is the concerning part. It's not so much that your buddy came back and said, hey guys, let's have one more round. It's more something else jumped in and said, something new to do.
Jerane's gonna stand up after he's happy with seeing the body be taken care of with fire. He's gonna stand up and walk away from the group and look at the stream and water and kind of just stare at the water.
Maurice would like to follow, but he'll make a show of not following to check on Gervain, but following and kind of looking up and down the beach as if he's looking for the jawbone that was severed from the zombie. And after a minute or two of fruitless searching, he'd kind of glance over towards Gervain. I can't help but notice you're awfully quiet there, friend. Everything okay?
I thought I was done with this crap, man. I thought I've been just wandering for a very long time, and this is what at one point I was meant to do, and I liked when I was doing it, and it just comes with a lot of crap I was done with, and it looks like I'm back in it again, and I don't want to do this. It just brings up stuff I don't want to think about anymore. Obviously, I'm good at it. I just don't like thinking about it.
Maurice will nod kind of very solemnly for a minute, and then he'll reach out and kind of do the re-encouraging pat on the shoulder. Well, I'll be honest, friend. I can't speak to your troubles or your experiences, but what I can say is that if you carry your problems with you, it doesn't matter how fast you run, they'll still be there when you get there. And kind of double tap and go back and actually try to find the zombie's jawbone now.
Cool.
So, Gervain, you're left standing there on the shoreline of the river, looking across the river. The mist is almost burnt off completely. It's now just sort of feathering on either edge, so you can see the water flowing through and everything like that. You can see the other shoreline, and you can just see this little bit of the mist still faintly clinging to the underbrush of the forest across the way. And as you're looking, you could almost swear that you see this shadowy form, almost wolf-like in appearance, walking out from the forest line on the other side and just sort of standing there staring at you. And for the rest of you, have Anton basically just sort of muttering some quick instructions, getting things pulled together, making sure everything's taken care of with this body of Uri. He'll put some sand on top of the body and start collecting some rocks quickly just to sort of create a shallow grave as well at this point. And we're going to leave it with the five of you now set on the mission to get your friend Shreg back from the village further downriver. And the camera is going to lift and pan up. So it's almost like this overhead drone view of the six figures in this little shoreline area of the river and this shadowed creature standing on the other side as we wait and see what happens next week for The Last Heir. So, thank you so much, everyone. Wow, that was fun. So, yes.
So Ori definitely did not die in his sleep.
No, he did not. No, Ori got his guts ripped open in the river, and then something else took up residence. It's one of the really cool features in the Margreave that it's called reincarnate, and souls of other creatures can take residence in dead bodies. So even animals. So that was a little something I thought would be fun to throw in here as a little bit of a nod to some really fantastic stuff that is in this Tales of the Old Margreave. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. We will be back as normally scheduled next Sunday at 8 p.m., and we'll be jumping into episode 4. And hopefully we'll have everyone back on deck again, which would be fantastic to see. We will see what happens with that. So for now, I'm going to close this by going in reverse order. Please tell us who you are, where we can find you, and what you liked most about tonight. And I will start with Jesse.
I'm Jesse. I play Maurice. I can be found on Twitter at JesseNeon. Right now, it's the only thing that I have out and about besides being here, which is super fun. And I would say my favorite part of tonight's session is the hints at whatever the hell's going on with Gervain. So that's, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So Kai.
Hey, I'm Kai, Stonefly_Kai on Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter. If you follow my Twitter, you can see all the games I'm in and everything I'm up to. My favorite part of tonight, I have to agree, might be Gervain's kind of maybe backstory coming out a little bit. I also really enjoyed Anton. Am I saying that right? I don't know why I can't get that name. Anton. I'm good at names. Anyways, I liked that I was kind of expecting something a little more serious, and then he was a little bit more fun. So that was a fun shake-up too.
All right, great. And let's move over to Torn Pixie.
Hello, I'm Torn Pixie. You can find me on Twitter at TornPixieTwitch. My favorite part, that whole thing with the barge. I gotta say, as a player, I had a little bit of a crisis because I've never had a water encounter that didn't turn into something really terrifying. So it was nice to have something that was scary, wasn't oh hey. So
it wasn't full on Jaws where you're going to be, eaten up by it, but it kept you on your toes.
Yep.
Very cool. And Michael.
Yeah, Michael Sinclair. You can find me at Michael Crits on Twitter and on Instagram. My favorite part of today was, that water encounter. That was totally different. I've never done a water fight before, so that was great. And then, didn't expect some of my story character stuff to start coming out, and him having to figure out how to deal with it. I've never had a character conflict thing come up so early, so definitely interesting. I don't know where it's going to take me, but very excited.
All right, very cool. And Jim.
Oh yeah, I thought today was really great. Just a good menacing, this place is not safe or just a casual stroll in the forest kind of setup. I love water encounters. I'm running an entirely submerged game right now, and I love just all the added complications that it brings and what's going to happen. One of us gets separated. It's really fun and a very action-packed kind of thing. I also love the arenas, the little hedgehog and Mr. Anton.
Yes, they're very specific to Midgard, and I love them so much. And yeah.
And now I'm just worried that it's the spirit of that wolf that we rescued who was trying to come and say hi to us, and we just murked it. But I don't know that is really what happened. Anyway,
I love this.
I am one half of WebDM, where we have tabletop and Dungeons and Dragons advice over on YouTube. Come and check us out there, and then we've also got our Twitch channel where we play some just D&D and all other kinds of games. So check us out.
Okay, great. And I'm the Muse, the Crafting Muse. You can find me over on YouTube, where I show you how to make miniatures, make terrain, and lovely things like that. I'm also a very active player over on Mini Terrain Domain, as well as Scratix Academy, DMing here on Kobold Press. And once a month, I do play a game over on Nerdarchy. So again, please join us next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time for episode 4 of The Last Heir. I can't wait to see what you're all going to do. And don't forget, you get to level up after tonight. So let's see the new stuff you guys get to do too. I'm excited. All right, everyone, have a fantastic night and take care. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.